Hello, welcome to Adventures Lollygagging. Yes, Chuck, I see you in the chat. It is actually finally happening. We're playing Wondering Second Edition. We've been trying to play this game for a couple of weeks now, almost a month, I think. But like, something kept coming up, and we kept having to push it back and push it back. But finally, after a very long wait, we get to dive in. We've done a few little off-air, like little practice sessions with kind of trying to get our heads around like the certain systems like combat and whatnot. Those were a couple weeks ago, so that was a waste of time because we've all forgotten it by then. So we're gonna go slow. It's gonna be kind of a learning game. So if you're watching this and you're trying to learn the game as well, perfect. Because yeah, and if you see something that we're doing wrong, if you're in chat right now, Twitch, if you're in chat, thank you. You can throw out some corrections if you've got any. If you're on YouTube later and you see something wrong, we'll probably fix it. But drop a comment and we can we'll get it sorted for next time. But yeah, it's a cool system. Melissa and we were able to play a while back when you were doing an alpha test back on the Free League Publishing channel. So that was a lot of fun. I got to play a silly little hobbit, and ever since then, I've really wanted to play again. But none of these people ever want to GM, so they made me do it. So I'm just gonna play all the hobbits and all the dwarves. None of the elves because I don't care for them. And that's about it. But yeah, we yes, the Darkening of Mirkwood. I actually thought about pulling out one of the first edition kind of adventures for this, but I think we're just going to kind of play around with it a little bit since there's a lot of like hex crawl stuff that happens in here. I don't know if we're going to hit a journey phase tonight. There's like kind of three big pillars of the game. Like there's the council, there's the journey, and then there's combat, obviously, and then there's like the whole fellowship phase. So fellowship phase is like downtime. We'll catch that after a couple sessions. But hopefully we'll probably do maybe two of the three things tonight and maybe jump to the third one next time. Before we get going, a couple quick plugs. Other things we do here. We play games generally. We stream Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Saturday is going to be Wondering for the foreseeable future. Fridays, we do Delta Green and Possible Landscapes, if you're curious about that. And on Mondays, we alternate between Ultraviolet Grasslands and another Free League Publishing game. We play Alien as well. This coming Monday will be Ultraviolet Grasslands. You can also catch me running another Delta Green game over on Thursdays at Garblock Games, their Twitch channels. You can come check us out there. Play them through Visit if you know anything about that one. It's been a lot of fun. Later tonight, Ashley and I'm playing 3 games today. Ashley and I will be over on the Defenders of Cobalt as we're playing through some Darkest House. And what else? Yeah, Forever GM Casual Keith. I get it. Fortunately, I've gotten folks like DM Chuck and a few others to let me play in games, so we kind of share the load a little bit here and there. But not these freeloaders, the people that you see on the screen. Bunch of freeloaders. Though Long did GM
That is true.
a single session of 5th edition like 5 years ago, and boy, what a glorious night that was. Came prepared with maps hand drawn on the backs of like pizza boxes. It was fantastic. Let's see. Anything else? I think are we ready to start? Do we want to introduce? Why don't we just introduce like your characters from just from like a mechanical perspective? Like, what did you pick? What do you like? What did you what's your cult? Which the culture that you took? What's the calling that you took? Kind of go from there maybe. And if any specific details, like how old you might be or anything like that, we can get to that. And then we'll just dive in, like kind of story wise. I'm going to try to hit the ground running and not do we're not going to start in an inn. We're going to start somewhere different. So Melissa, you're playing Auriniel. Tell us about your choices that you made for your character.
So Auriniel is a 21-year-old ranger of the North. Her calling is champion. So I picked for my reward, my short sword is keen, which helps with piercing, I believe. And for my virtue, I went with mastery. So I have like a bunch of stuff that is favored, which is very cool because I've got like, and athletics and hunting and battle and explorer all favored. So those were some of the choices that I made, and my fellowship focus is Gilly.
Okay, yeah. So a couple things there. So in this game, if you're familiar with other games, like your culture, your heroic culture is like there's choice right now. The base game. So if you're waiting for One Ring, like the PDFs are out for those who've. I think they just dropped this week actually for anybody. But I think those who backed the Kickstarter have had them for a few weeks or about a month or so now. I think the books are soon-ish. I think there's an update recently for those who backed the Kickstarter. Might be getting the physical copies relatively soon. But right now in the core books, you can choose between a couple different options when it comes to heroic cultures. You got dwarves, dwarves are Durin's folk technically. You've got the Rangers of the North. You've got hobbits, but Ashley kind of did something a little special. We'll get to that in a second with her. But then there's in terms of like in terms of like men, you have the choices between Bree folk, like so if you're men of Bree, and what was the other one? There's one I'm missing. What am I forgetting?
Hold
Oh, we're
on a
forgetting it.
second.
Thank you, Chuck,
Bardings.
for those bits. Oh, Bardings. Thank you very much. Yeah,
Yeah.
so those are the ones that we have options for right now. I think there's going to be other options coming forward. There's elves too, of course. There's the Lindor elves, and like if you've got like the Rivendell, I think if you've got the Rivendell addendum, you also can play like a high elf as well. But there's going to be other things that you can potentially play too. The other thing is when it comes to different callings is effectively your class. So Ranger of the North being one of them. We'll see. You can see
Champion.
on the. I'm sorry, Champion being one of them. Ranger of the North is the other thing. But you can see that Long is playing Treasure Hunter. Gelly is playing Scholar. Those are two others. And there's a few more in the base game as well. So we tried to spread it out and have a couple different mixes here and there. And then Fellowship focus. So in the game, there is a kind of a mechanism, a pool that's shared across all of the characters in the company in the group. Called Fellowship, and it is a resource that can be used for certain things throughout the game. Most commonly, it's used to recover hope, but there's also some other special abilities and things you could use here and there. And then also, you have to pick who your favorite is, and that's what Fellowship Focus is. So when certain things happen, you can kind of get a little bonus here and there to whoever it is your Fellowship Focus, and so that's what Melissa was talking about there. Let's see. Let's keep going. Long. Tell us about. Is it Floy? Is it Flowy?
No, it's definitely Floy.
I don't know. Looks like a Flowy to me. Go ahead, Floy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm playing Dwarves of Durin Smoke, uh, adult, and the calling I chose is Treasure Hunter, so he's focused on all those treasures out there. He's also
Okay.
quite strong. Pretty much just wears heavy armor all the time.
Yeah. Long was very clever in some of his combos of what he picked. I'm trying to remember. You did because you got your armor and then you picked.
Well, just being a dwarf
Yeah, just being a
halves
dwarf,
his
your
load.
load
Well,
gets
his load.
cut in half,
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
much.
So load is like what you carry in One Ring is kind of important. So like equipment is kind of important here. Your load, encumbrance, etc. It is sort of an important thing. And so Long definitely did a little bit of min maxing, I gotta say, which I was surprised because that's not usually your style. So yeah,
That's
it's
true.
interesting. Okay, so we've got our dwarven treasure hunter, and then finally we've got Ashley. Ashley, tell us about Gilly Kettlegrass.
Gilly is our little hobbit friend. But I'm a Bree hobbit, so that means I kind of mash some of the things from Bree's men in Hobbit and kind of go from there. Like I can only use regular bows. I can't use like great bows, obviously, because I can't hold them. They're like taller than me. She's relatively young for a hobbit, I think. Pretty sure. She's 34.
Yeah,
Um
yeah, that's a year older than. Is that a year older than Frodo when Frodo started his whole thing? I think
I
wasn't he
think so.
33? I think.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. Don't quote me.
Oh no,
Um
that's what I was afraid
Floy is my fellowship
of.
focus. Uh and I had yeah, so I'm the scholar. I had one thing I had pulled up that I thought was pretty cool. But I lost it, so it's gone. But yeah, my path is Lure of Secrets, and that means so if I start to go more down the shadow path eventually, inquisitiveness and curiosity are desirable virtues of an individual, but knowledge can be put to malicious use. So we'll
Hmm.
see how that plays out, how
We
Jeff
will.
chooses to hurt me.
Don't worry, probably not
excited.
this first episode. We are gonna training wheels this up on the first step. Don't worry, we're gonna go nice and slow and easy.
I'm not
and then we're
even
gonna
on
get
a
to it.
training bike. I'm on a tricycle.
Yeah, I think Frodo is 33. Bibble turned 100 though. Yeah, that sounds right to me too.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. What else we want to cover? Oh, did you mention that you're a Bree Hobbit?
Yes,
that was a
I
special
did.
thing? Yeah. So if you read for those of you getting your Wondering books, if you look like way in the back, I can't remember specifically what page, but as you're reading through like the lore of the area of Eriador and whatnot, there are options for playing Bree Hobbits, and so we didn't really want to do a Hobbiton Shire type thing. We wanted to kind of do something a little bit more. You can kind of tell by our title that we're going to start slow and eventually it's going to become hopefully a little bit bigger and grandiose. So there are options on how to play like a Bree Hobbit, which is effectively the same thing, but it's pretty much like a hybrid. You get some things from like Bree folk, you get some things from hobbits, but you live in Bree, right? Like that's where you call home, right? It's not
Yeah.
you're not a hobbit of the Shire. So, but other than that, I mean, you're mainly the same, like in terms of appearance here and there. It's just you're maybe a
I
little
get
more
like the
worldly.
cultural stuff from Men of Bree.
Yeah.
And then like I get the stats from the Hobbits table.
Yeah, you still physically look like a hobbit that we would know from the various fictions that we've read, but you have a different cultural outlook than those that we might meet in
Not
the
as
various counties of the
you
Shire.
could say.
Sure, more worldly, something like that. I don't know. Not that Breeze, the most nice little crossroads town. Okay, have we stalled enough? Should we start?
Yeah, let's get going.
Let's go.
Long. I thought you were gonna say nah. We can.
Tool to Twitch says more cheese.
More cheese. Okay, what other cheese can we talk about? Okay, let's get started. So we're gonna start. You can see on our overland map here. We're right around the city of Bree, or the village of Bree, excuse me. But that's not exactly where we're at. We, in fact, are somewhere else. We are right next to the village of Bree, because we are starting specifically within what some might call a suburb of Bree, and that would be a very rude thing. Others might call a separate village unto itself the village of Combe. And as we get started, the camera kind of zooming in, we're doing our little cinematic opening. We're just zooming right past the hustle and bustle of like a midday afternoon in Bree. We see people coming and going in the streets. We just keep going down to the slopes and the sides of the hills. On the other side of Bree, north towards the Chetwood. And we can see that it's a little scattered, it's a little smaller. The villagers here around Combe aren't necessarily as they're a little bit more reserved, don't necessarily open themselves up to outsiders as much, or at the very least they might feel a slight because they're not as paid attention to perhaps as Bree. But that's where we're going to be, as you all, having been together for some time. You're not just meeting, and you are kind of on a task given to you by your patron. Your starting patron being Balin, and everyone will probably know as Balin if you know The Hobbit, etc. You've been tasked to do a favor, to go, because Balin has heard that around the village of Combe there have been of late some peculiar attacks and some frustrating attacks on livestock. Specifically around the village of Combe on the edge of the Chetwood. And Balin has directed the three of you to speak with a friend of his. And that friend is a woman, is a woman by the name, a hobbit by the name of Rosa Goodborough, who is apparently some kind of sheep herder, goat herder. And as the camera zooms in our little idyllic village of Combe, much smaller than Bree itself, but proud nonetheless, we can see a fairly horrific sight, in fact, which belies the otherwise, positive sounds of the music and the greenery of the area, as it's a midsummer afternoon. And we can see that scattered across the hills, the slopes of these hills and the shadows of the chetwood trees, we can see an array of different livestock that are sadly laying inert on the ground. We see sheep, we see cows, cattle, etc. And, you know, as we're flying over, there's maybe a dozen or more of these animals that are scattered about. And we also see, in addition to this very fiery red-haired Rosa Goodborough on top of a hill, looking down, her back kind of leaning against what looks like, you know, corral of some sort for her animals, which appears to have been broken. There's kind of a splintering of the wood, and something has fallen. The three of you are somewhere in the area performing an investigation of sorts, trying to get to the bottom of what exactly happened here. So we're going to go one by one here, and you just kind of tell me where you think your character might be at the start of this little moment. So Arinial, where would you think, after coming here, you all agreed to do it, where would you be if you were going to start trying to contribute to investigating what happened to these animals?
So two of Arinial's distinctive features are bold and swift. So I think she's pretty much sort of always like at the front, like moving quick. So that's definitely where she is, you know, sort of ahead of where everyone is. And just really kind of, that's her kind of position within the group, up front, sweeping the landscape, keeping an eye out.
Okay, would you say you're like on the edge of the forest itself, along the Chetwood? Would you say you're kind of looking for tracks? What kind of, like, assuming this is like an investigation, right? Like, what would you be looking for?
So I would be, let's see, hunting is favored for me, so looking for tracks.
Okay, so you're looking for specific tracks. Perfectly, that's perfect. So, yeah, you can do a couple. So let's start with a roll, pretty simply, right? And why don't you describe yourself, by the way, too, as I pull up my skill sheet. Go ahead and describe what Arinial looks like as the camera zooms in on her looking for tracks.
So Arinial has very light hair that's kind of been braided. And so the braid, you know, sometimes is down her back, sometimes is over her shoulder. At this point, it's over her shoulder. She is dressed as you would expect for a ranger, you know, so definitely the you know, green cloak, gray clothes, and she has on her back her bow and her short sword.
Okay, so you are specifically you're looking for some kind of tracks of some kind. Okay. Mm-hmm. So groups. So again, I'm just gonna do a lot of explaining for the first episode or two, because they're like learning games, and some of it's for us, but some of it's for folks who are tuning in and learning the game as well. So like groups are there's 18 different skills, right, when we do skill checks, and each of them are kind of grouped into like different categories: personality, movement, perception, survival. Then there's like custom skills, and when I say custom, I mean like not like custom as in we can kind of make it our own, but like the idea of customs, like what kind of custom a specific village or a city or a people might perform. And then vocation. So I think if you're looking specifically for tracks, we could say scan, we can say hunting. I think either of those would probably apply here. Even awareness would probably, I think, apply. Is there a particular one that you would prefer to do?
Because hunting is favored, I will go with hunting.
Okay. So hunting usually is for game. So you're looking for any signs or tracks of like animals that might have been responsible for this, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. So go ahead and roll it. We're using Foundry, which does actually have in progress One Ring 2nd edition. So what was your target number?
So my target number is 13, and I rolled a 13.
Okay. So as you're scanning around in the shadows of the Chetwood, you do notice that there are tracks that are coming and going from the woods. Some of the tracks you can definitely assign to the different animals that you see. Large like hoof prints that suggest maybe some cattle that got loose from one of these farmland areas, and others, might be stray dogs or things like that that are sniffing around. But you very distinctly notice that there are what look like kind of wolf prints, paw prints of some kind. Not particularly large, nothing too alarming, but you definitely notice what looks like wolf prints in the area. Okay.
So Arenio will just sort of pss, pss, and kind of get the attention of Gilly and Floy.
Okay. Well, Floy, let's go to you. What would Floy be doing at the start of this? You don't have to follow what Arenio's whispering. This is all kind of happening concurrently. So, like, what's the first instinct Floy would try to do to kind of help out and figure out what's going on with this area?
Yeah, he'd be talking with the people of the farmlands, seeing if they get in like first encounters or hearings of what happened.
Okay, do you want to talk specifically to Rosa Goodborough, or do you want to try to kind of sweet talk your way and speak to some of her neighbors or others who also, by the way, are affected? So it's not like she's the only one who's been affected by it. This looks like a whole group of people in the village have been suffering from whatever's going on here.
Yeah, let's try and sweet talk up the neighbors, see what they know.
Okay, so I'll give you a choice. You kind of look to the east and the west. And you can see that off to the west of where of the land that the Goodborough family seems to keep an eye on, you do think there is what appears to be a fairly tall, black-haired kind of man who's peering out from what you think is behind their fence, also smashed and broken in some ways. Has a pipe, and it's just eyes furrowed, big bushy black eyebrows looking down, and you would probably learn that's the Sweet Root family. And then off to the west, so that's to the east. Off to the west, there's another family of hobbits, the Old Bucks, who you see are mucking about and with like a stable area, and they're kind of cleaning out. There's a woman on her hands and knees, and she's sort of scrubbing something away.
I'll go over to the stable.
Okay.
The hobbits are cleaning.
Yeah. So you wander over to the stable. You hear the sounds of like chickens and things that are kind of mucking about here and there that are still covered within this pen. But there's this small little area where you think maybe a mule, a donkey, something like that. So like a work animals. And this woman is on her hands and her knees, and she's just whistling, and you hear she picks up this big old brush, dunks it into a wooden bucket. You see the sloshing of water and slip over the side, spill onto the ground, and kind of muck up on the dirt. And she kind of gets back to it. Once or twice she leans back, cracks her back, and blows a wisp of like brown auburn hair like out of her face, and gets back to it.
Yeah, I'll walk up to her and go, "Hey, lass, you have a moment?"
Oh, you're talking to me, lass? Oh. She gets up, turns around. You can see she's got some age to her. As she turns around, she's got little cuts of like, kind of grayish here and there. You can tell she's certainly older, probably than your Bree Hobbit friend, Gilly. Oh, I'm a bit busy now. I've got just cleaning to do. What's this all about?
Oh, you've probably heard. It's about the recent attacks or the incident that's happened here. I was wondering if you had a first account.
First account? First account implies I was part of it, or I was there when it happened.
Or if you've heard of anything.
Well, if you think I was there, then you're accusing me of something. You think I'm responsible. Why would I go and...
No, not accusing. It's just you're hard at work out here. Maybe you're one of the first ones to hear about it or see it.
Well, I can tell you that my donkey is missing. Indeed he is. And I've got, looks like six of my chickens are gone. And those Bree wardens don't want to do anything about it. And so now you're going to come over here and you think you're going to solve all my problems. But I'll tell you what, we calm folk, we can solve our own problems, thank you very much, sir.
Now. There's no need for that. Just trying to help you.
Okay. Let's do just sort of let's do another one of these rolls. Let's get practice at this. So like if we dig back into like the social skills and stuff. So like there's like different things. Personality skills tend to be awe, which is like personality, like your ability to impress, encourage, influence. There's enhearten, which is there's impress, which is like awe, encourage, which is like enhearten, persuade is influence. Those are most likely one of the skills that you would be using here. We're not doing like a full council, obviously that's a whole different thing. This is just a general impression to see if you can win her over with your charm and wit.
I'll do like an all roll. That sounds good.
Okay. So, all right. Yeah, go ahead and roll that. So if you're wondering how the rolls work, this game is a mixture of D12s and D6s. Everyone knows what their targets are. It's not, GM doesn't set the difficulty. There's 3 different stats. There's strength, heart, and wits. Is what's the third, everyone?
Yep, that's
and
the
so,
attribute.
Yeah, and you get your attributes, which are single digits, and then if you want to figure out what your target number is, you subtract it from 20, and that's what you need to roll when you roll any skill from that specific category. And since you're using awe, you said, is that correct?
Yeah.
That's specifically from the strength category. So you'd be targeting whatever your target number for strength would be.
Here comes the roll.
Okay.
Ooh, it's a failure.
So the D12 is what's called a feat die. You roll that with basically every roll. And then your D6s, you roll a number of those equal to however many skill points you have. You add all that up, and if you hit your target number, you're good to go. There's a couple things on the D12 that could either, be an auto success, great news for you, or it could be really bad, the Eye of Sauron. And then if you hit like a 6 on a D6 can potentially increase the value or the quality of your success here and there. But she looks to you and she's just, you know what? I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're after here. You're asking questions. You just out of the goodness of your own heart. You're coming over into my stables, interrupting me. It's bad enough that I've got to figure out what I'm going to do about these chickens. It's bad enough that I've got to spend all day mucking about in the stables, blood everywhere. Who knows what happened to my poor sweet donkey? I don't need this right now. Why don't you go bother somebody else right now? It's not like you're going to do anything at all. I don't even know who you are. Off with you now. Go. And she just she's like waving the brush at you. And so like these soapy suds are just kind of hitting you, getting caught up in your dwarven beard. She shamefully shoos you away.
All right. I'll leave you alone. I'll just leave her.
Okay. And then finally, Gilly. Where would Gilly be at the start of this?
So Gilly, like Ashley, is naturally drawn to things she wants to learn about, specifically these poor dead animals.
Okay.
So Gilly's probably like hunched over one of the goats, and she's got like a book held open in one hand, and she's like quickly flicking through with her pinky because her other hand she's been touching blood, like her other fingers have been dipped in blood. So she's trying to like keep her book clean, and she's trying to like compare like wounds to see if she can identify like bite marks or something.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love this. I like how even in The Lord of the Rings, you found a way to make your character just like totally like witchy creepy. Like
I
you're
didn't
just
even
going,
try it either.
rip it out, this and that. Okay, so let's see. We could do I'm trying to see. So like there's no real like science skill. Healing could probably be really good if you have healing. I could take that. It's more kind of an understanding of how they died. I'll take that. If you have an idea of what you wanted to roll, like throw it out there.
Hoping for like either like insight, awareness, or like even stretching it in like lore, like matching it to what I read in a book.
I think insight's more about like being able to tell whether or not someone's lying to you, like
Yeah.
D&D. Awareness, I think awareness, yeah, that's fine. We'll do awareness.
Okay.
Okay, so give that a roll.
Oh, I am extraordinarily successful.
You
Wow.
you crushed that. because first of all, you were favored on the roll, which meant you got to roll 2 d12s, 2 feet die, take the better, which is good because you dodged an Aya Sauron that way.
Yeah, I did.
And then you got two ranks in the skills, so you have to roll 2 d6s, and you roll 2 6s, and a 6 on a d6 is basically like an extra success, right? It's like not an extra success so much as you get more. In this case, you're just going to get a little bit more information. Awesome. So you've got one hand with the book, kind of maybe it's a picture of anatomy of a sheep, something like that. You're trying to get some kind of very carefully drawn, like quill drawn.
Like my own notes and like the margins.
Okay, maybe you wrote it perfect, and or something like that, and you got your hand just like kind of wedged all the way in. You noticed a couple of things actually, and this is probably not the first body. Maybe you've jumped from body to body, but you've noticed that all of these animals died actually very, very cruelly, and even a few of them were still alive. From what you've heard from Rosa and some of the others that may be lingering here and there, watching disapprovingly as 3 strangers go about trying to fix their problems. But you notice that almost all of them were killed by sort of a similar wound, this heavy slash right across the belly. And you can see that in a sort of horrific fashion. And it's unlikely any of them would have survived, but it looks like they were, they were just left here to just bleed out from these horrible, horrible wounds. That's the first thing you notice. The second thing you notice is that a few of them also have what appear to be like arrows that have been plucked into the hinds, kind of keeping them from running away or something like that. And you start pulling them out, rip one out, take a look, flesh kind of goes flying off, and you would be able to recognize a goblin arrow for sure. It's got that strange kind of hook quality to it, and you take a brief whiff of it, and you look at the flank where you pulled the arrow out, and you can see that the meat is certainly, discolored, suggesting maybe poison, infection, something like that. So that's 2 things. You got what? An extraordinary success? Let me see. Yeah. Do I have a third thing I can give you? I don't think I have a third thing.
You just rolled too well, Ashley.
I did, I guess.
Let's see. Yeah, you I'll say this. You also notice that in one of the bellies, you can see a broken off hook. Like a weapon, like a large, almost like a butcher hook. Like a giant big butchery hook that has been broken off that looked to be maybe possibly the weapon that was used at one point to draw the slash. You have like a broken hook weapon. You've got an arrow suggesting goblin arrows, and you definitely saw a pattern with the way the belly was slashed.
Okay.
So at this point, all of you have split off and done some things. Some of you have been successful. Floy has not. And at a certain point, maybe all of you huddle around. You kind of come over, check in with each other. Gilly, you're making your final notes. You've got the arrow in your hand. What do you 3 say to each other?
Well, I asked some of the folk around here. Not too friendly.
I mean, I could have told you that. Hobbit to hobbit. You could have waited, but, instead you just had to go. But, what do I know? I'm just a hobbit. As I'm, also still pulling out, intestines and maybe, looking at them.
Talking with your hands, and so stuff's, flying here and there in a just comically visceral way. Okay.
So I noticed, kind of over by the edge of the woods that there appeared to be what looked almost like wolf tracks that seemed to be heading off in that direction.
That would track, and I fling up the arrow, and maybe blood kind of spatters up against one of you.
And I'm just dabbing my eye. I'm used to this. This is what you do, but it's still just
annoying. Yeah. And I found this arrow. It looks goblins. And here's a meat hook, and I hand that to Floy. And it looks like maybe this was intended to be a message. They kind of shot them to trap them in place and left them to bleed out to die.
Goblins and wolves.
Which I would say, Aurinial of all, you for certainly would know, not an uncommon combination at all. Very, very common. Like Gilly was saying, it tracks.
Mm-hmm. It's such a waste of meat. Maybe you're right. It's to send a message.
I mean, I did read a book once on war, and that does tend to be a very awful message to receive.
We should go let Gold Barrow know, or Good Barrow.
Gold Barrow. Always thinking about gold, this guy. Ever the treasure hunter. Okay. So you wander up to Rosa, and she takes a look at you all, and she's of the people that you've spoken to in Combe, she has been the most receptive, obviously, because you share a friend in Balin. Mm-hmm. But even still, she's a little skeptical of strangers coming in trying to fix their problems. But she says, "Well, all right, out with it. What did you find? What have you learned?"
There are some tracks that are leaving the property, some wolf tracks heading off in that direction. And then Renee will just sort of point to Gilly.
And it looks like goblins killed your livestock. Slashed their bellies and left them out to bleed, which is rather a terrible way to die.
And you? She looks over at Floy. What have you learned?
Exactly what they said.
You see, like, she just furrows her brow and just kind of like a disappointing. Well, I've also I've been speaking with my neighbors, and apparently some of the farm creatures aren't the only ones who've been put off by this attack. One of our lumberjack friends, Elisa Briarcleave, she seems to be missing. Or rather, she went off into the Chetwood in the very direction that you pointed at, Miss, what was your name again? And she looks over at Aurinial.
Aurinial.
And she just, again, disapproving shake of her head as you utter it. Well, she went off yesterday evening to do a bit of reconnaissance. She's got a bit of a small shack out in the wood, not too far away, and she hasn't returned at all. We're quite concerned, in fact. If what you say is true and there are goblins running about in the woods.
We would have your neighbors sent anyone after her?
Do we look like we can fight goblins?
We would be happy to continue our investigation if that is what you...
Oh, you'd be happy to continue your investigation, would you? Investigation that I gave you half the information that you now have, or at least a third. That there's another missing woman out there who might be able to lend some sort of hand into this. What happened here?
Well, sometimes it's about information, sometimes it's about action. You just said you are not necessarily folks to go out after goblins, and we are folks to go out after goblins, so...
Are you now? Big, strong warriors, are you?
As like Gilly's like adjusting her books.
Books falling, still have like kind of blood smatter here. There,
yeah.
Weird contradiction of imagery here. Okay. Well, I'll tell you this: if you're looking for some sort of reward, we've got nothing for you. If you come back, I'll make you a sandwich, give you a pint, something like that. But if you want reward, then you better be speaking with your friend Balin. He's the one who could help you here. I didn't ask for any help, but he sent you here nonetheless.
We're not here for the reward, honestly. It's just I love knowledge and finding things out and to help everyone around us. So I think we should go look for Miss Elisa. Could you point me in the way of her cabin?
Do you see that tree line over there?
And she
Just
points,
points to
towards
the
it.
north.
Yeah, and then you just watch as Gilly just kind of starts, thank you, and starts marching off towards it.
Okay. Well, you have fun with that one. She seems like she's going to get one of you killed one day, but so be it.
She was able to provide us with information and let you know what happened to your livestock, so she is valuable to us. Good day.
I never. As you turn around and walk away, you can hear her just huffing, and she looks over towards Floy. And what do you have to say about this all?
I shift my battle axe that's always by my waist, and I say, "We'll take care of it. If we're not back, then you know we're dead."
Well, then, you have fun out there, then. And so, okay, yeah, you turn away, and you just hear her mumbling, about, strangers, out-of-towners. Always messing around in our business. Never ask for anything. I'm going to have a good word with Ballard next time I see him. He is not going to get my decent price on mutton anymore. And, yeah, so you guys want to go into the Chetwood? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, we do.
All right. So we're not doing a full-on journey because it's not really far enough. So this is just more like the Chetwood itself is you can probably get across it in about a day to 2 days or so, depending on different events. So this isn't full journey rules yet or anything like that. But yeah, how about this? We'll do kind of like a mini, sort of a mini idea here. Like who would be kind of leading the way and trying to continue to look for tracks or trying to find their way, stuff like that. Like who would be taking point on this is effectively what I'm asking.
I do a favorable scan, if that's something.
So
Scan
I
would
think
be useful.
Yeah, scan's not bad. I think this is more. I don't think travel really needs to apply here because it's not really a long journey. I think awareness would be good. Scan, I think, is more. I think scan. I think of looking around in a room and trying to find hidden doors or something like that. Right. The idea of seeing what's out of place. But hunting, if you're specifically looking for animals, I think awareness, if it's just sort of all-purpose kind of idea, that sort of thing.
Well, I suppose we're looking for 2 sets of tracks now because we're looking to see where the wolf tracks went, and then we're also looking for Elisa's tracks.
Okay. So
I can do a hunting roll.
Could I do
right.
a regular awareness roll?
Yeah, why don't we do both? Let's do both of those.
Ooh.
Oh, I got a great success.
Okay.
I got a failure.
All right. A great success, huh?
Indeed, I rolled a Gandalf, I believe.
That is, in fact, a Gandalf, yeah. Don't forget, by the way, you can always do things like support and aid and etc. And also remember, one of the things we haven't really talked about yet is you guys mentioned you have distinctive features. So in the game, whenever you think a skill test or something like that might be speaking to one of your distinctive features, if you want to, you actually not even any time. It's really any time you can spend a hope point to inspire yourself, so you can get extra dice. But if you're you can specifically kind of double that when it's like a distinctive feature, basically. So
Mine are bold and swift, and I'm not quite sure this tracks for right now.
Mm-hmm. You still, it's like you have hope is a resource, so you have to spend it. You don't get it for free or anything. That's up to you. All right, so as you're kind of traveling into the Chetwood, which it's mostly like the early parts of the Chetwood as you come in, you can see what looks like scattered sections where there have been little patches here and there where folks have been doing lumber work, right? You can see that there's some felled trees every now and then. You can see what looks like, tents that have been set up for those that are, not necessarily full on mill work, but people with saws and such that have been packed up neatly, kind of covered up. Likely they're workers that might have been returning at some point today, but maybe this attack has slowed some of that. But the further you go in, the darker it gets, and the harder it is perhaps to see. the sky. You still get rays of sunlight coming in, but the day continues to progress. As you're looking around, Gilly, you're looking for any signs. Thanks for that sub, Aaron. Appreciate that. As you're looking around, you're looking for kind of any signs of things that are out of place, any signs of people, goblins maybe, etc., that might be moving about. And there's the undergrowth of the forest itself is it's kind of a mixture. It looks like there was maybe rain at some point between like late last night and like this afternoon. So maybe early morning there was rain, and it's kind of caused a bit of trouble, a little bit of murky areas here and there, and you can hear the splashing of your feet. But it's hard to kind of keep any sort of clear path for who or what might have been traveling through here. Aurinial, however, you do notice more than once what looks like additional signs of paw prints. But with a great success, there's something that kind of was bugging you in the back of your mind a little bit earlier, and that was that the paw prints didn't like you've tracked wolves before, like they didn't seem very particularly big, like these paw prints, and you've seen some wolves themselves, and it's not common for wolves to get that close, like that they pulled right up onto the edge of like this village is a little bit peculiar. Like certainly wolf attacks out in the plains or out in the forest, but like that close was peculiar, unless they're driven obviously by somebody else. But you're starting to get the feel that maybe they're not wolf prints at all. Maybe wild dogs, something like that. You're starting to get mixed readings. And the further you kind of go in, you begin to see like pathways sort of diverge. And you can see what looks like at one point, Aurinial, kind of human footsteps, big enough, boot prints, mud here and there, coming and going. And there's a handful of like these paw prints that you would subscribe to, like wild dogs or just large like mastiffs or something like that. But then there's this other like wash of tracks that goes sort of kind of parallel or kind of off northeasternly, that has a mixture of those larger wolf prints, but also scattered signs of like rough boot prints. And so like you almost feel like there were two paths that eventually diverged, like two groups that split off in some way.
And does any of that look like goblin?
The latter of the two is giving you that vibe, because you can see like like at one point where the dogs kind of broke off, you can see what looks like a big, tall, for a tall person, like big meaty human boot print. Thank you for those bits, Aaron. We got ourselves a couple. We'll do our rolls. Do we want to do re-rolls, or do we want to do like bonus die? What do we think?
I like bonus die.
We'll do bonus die? Okay. So we'll say 100. So we're setting up our bits rules. 100 bits equals an extra d6. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right. And so yeah, that works. I like that. So we have, I think Chuck gave us a couple earlier, so we probably are sitting at 6 right now. So there's 6 free die to have at some point.
So Gillian Floy, we seem to have a choice. We've kind of had some tracks, but now we've got some that go that direction and some that go that direction. So do we want to follow the goblin and the wolf tracks, or do we want to follow the human tracks?
Let's see if this Elsa's still alive.
Try to find Elisa?
I think we should try and find Elisa first. At least send her back. Make sure she's not dead. And Gilly just keeps going in the way you point. She's trucking along.
That's how we're going.
Okay. So you're following the human boot print and like what look like dog prints.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So those kind of start veering off and they go further and further east. Like both of them, both sets of tracks are coming northward from Combe into the Chetwood. But then the group of what you presume are goblins and maybe wolves veers off sort of northwesternly, and then it's a little bit of a sharper turn for the human and the dog dog prints, and that eventually starts veering off eastward after a spell. And by nightfall, and you can see it's dusk, sun's going down in the west on the other side of what you're on the eastern edge of the Chestwood. You can see that the prints go off into the Midgewater marshes. Not a very hospitable place. Swampland, marshy land here and there. All manner of weird creatures that could potentially annoy you from time to time. But it's not really a place that's easily traversed, but doable. But you do see that eventually the boot prints that I would say, Reniel, with your great success, you would know that somebody was trying to cover their tracks, but you were just, with your great success, you managed. Yeah, you're just too good. You just managed to pick up on them from time to time. But once it gets into the kind of the line of the swampy waters, you just lose them entirely. But you know that that pairing, that group has disappeared somewhere into the marshes. That's true, Aaron. You did owe Melissa. Melissa ruined our Delta Green game on Thursday with their silly
matter of perspective.
Stuff. We're getting a divorce because of that, Aaron. Did I tell you? Okay. All right. So what would you like to do? It's nearly nighttime.
Followed the tracks as far as I can, but if that is Lisa, she's been working hard to not be found.
You think
Goblins.
it's not to be found by the goblins, right? Well,
That's yet to be determined, but possibly.
Not a fan of traveling in the wetlands in this heavy armor, but should scan around.
Well, they did say back there that she had her home, so maybe I don't know. We could go check out there, see if there's signs of combat or something, or if she just is out hunting.
So Jeff, where is her house compared to where we are? I'm assuming, is that back where we came from?
Yeah,
it's back a ways. Yeah, likely you would have passed by it relatively quickly. It's not so much her home, but just kind of like I was saying with those lumberjack lean-tos, a workplace setup area is kind of where it was at. Just a place where she would probably set up for time, park a workhorse, something like that, in a small wagon, and then kind of pull away.
Could I try, and maybe this is included in what I've been doing and trying to track, but can I try to can I get up a tree and try to get a different perspective on the landscape, or is that kind of part of what I've been doing?
No, if you want to climb up a tree and you want to, I would say it would be, you might be able to catch something looking out into the marshes just before. Again, it's getting dark, but you might be able to catch something just beforehand. Mm-hmm. But it would be a little bit less useful looking westward back towards the woods. Okay. Go ahead and let's do an athletics roll. Climb up that tree. Yeah, no problem.
Success 18 over 13.
Okay, so you get up the tree and you scan around into the marsh itself, which still has trees and stuff here and there, but they're scattered. They're a different kind. They're crooked. Everything over the next several miles, not that you can see that far, is swampland, marshland. It's just unpleasant. What you do at some point in the far distance, just on the edge of your vision, you do see what looks like a small plume of smoke that's coming up, almost hidden and obscured, just barely peeking out from above what looks like a ridgeline of those kind of crooked, gnarled trees, suggesting that there is a campfire deep into the marshes somewhere.
And so, how far do I estimate would travel time be from where we are to where that is?
At night, you would think that the travel would be a little bit precarious, but not impossible. But you would think that it would probably take you a couple hours, and in the dark, through already difficult terrain, might be a little troublesome.
What do you say? Are we up for some nighttime marshland travel?
Aye, let's get to before something else does.
Gilly, maybe you can get some of that blood off your hands in the water as we go.
Yeah, and just attract leeches. No, thank you.
Oh.
And she'll just hike her pants up higher.
So equipment-wise, it's just what we started off with, right? Or it's like
Right.
we have
So
upgrades.
equipment in One Ring Second Edition, there's war gear, which weapons and armor and shields, right? Then there's useful items, and useful items, the amount that you can carry, is determined by your what is it called? Your quality of life. What am I thinking? What's the
Endurance?
phrase? No, it's
Oh,
Standard
by
of
your
living.
wealth, standard of living. That's
standard
that's
of
one thing.
living,
And so a useful item is specifically an item that you can use to get a bonus die on a specific type of roll. All right. And you all should have, I think we did those. So
We
like
did.
pulling up longs, for instance, on Floy, he's got maps or stone carving tools, right? So stone carving tools, if you ever try to roll craft, you could potentially use your stone carving tools to give you a bonus die in craft. And those are the only ones that need to be designated. Other things like travel gear, usually stuff that you don't have to mark on your sheet unless you want to, like it has some sort of important purpose to you. But things like cloaks or something like that, that's not worth. Like we just assume that you probably have it.
So since it's getting dark, you can pull out like a lantern or like torches.
I happen to have a lantern.
I do believe that that's one of the things you put down, so you can specifically use that at this point, possibly to benefit you in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So you all begin to kind of dip into the you're going into the marshes at night.
Marshes at night.
At night.
Okay. So, are you still leading the way, Reniel?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You start as the three of you dip into this marshland area. You can feel your feet, your boots already just like sink. You're 5, 10, 15 steps in, and your feet just collapse into the earth as it's just soggy and difficult to move around. Eventually, you start sloshing around in water. You hear the sounds of bugs buzzing around you, kind of getting in your ears. You have to swat them away left and right. It's, again, midsummer. The heat is beginning, and humidity is kind of getting to you. You also hear, like, peculiar sounds just sort of wafting on the air from time to time. You hear it sounds like a distant, like, call, like a yell of some kind out, somewhere off in the shadows. More than once, you stumble across what looks like an outcropping of rock, only to, as you collapse and step back up, you realize it's some kind of broken statue, half sunken beneath the swamp water, bits of moss and grime kind of covering up exactly whatever kind of runes or engravings might have been on it, and its specific purpose, no one really knows. Go ahead and everybody, I'm going to say... everybody can make this. Go ahead and make a shadow test. So as just sort of the oppression of what's happening here. So every now and then in the game, certain things might happen where the influence of the shadow might kind of get to you, right? And so in this point, you're going to get a chance to resist it. So shadow tests, when you kind of get hit by it, there's 3 different types. There's dread, sorcery, and greed. And so those are like whenever one of those three concepts start hitting you strongly, in this case it's going to be dread, like this idea of you're hearing these weird growls and sounds in the distance, you're seeing movement on the water, the sudden splash and maneuver of like some kind of large reptile here or there moving about. You all need to roll a valor test, and that uses your heart target number.
So that's just a D12 with a D6.
D12 and D12 and D6, because all of you should be Valor
just
1.
Hit Valor. And then
I
roll.
think the character
Valor.
sheet's functional. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Aureliel failed.
Oh.
Everybody failed.
Everyone failed.
Okay. So as like I mean, I might be overdoing it here, but everyone go ahead and take a shadow point. As all of you start to feel like maybe this wasn't a good idea, starting to wade into the swamps at night. And as that thought sinks into all your minds, you hear that growl suddenly get closer. And when I say growl, I don't mean like it's animalistic. It almost sounds like a person. You see a shadow moving about, something kind of get tossed and thrown. And then that's when you see this fairly massive shadowy figure suddenly emerge out from behind this fallen crooked tree. And Gilly, Arinio, Floyd, all of you would recognize what looks like a troll. Stepping out, it's got this crazed look on its eye, your lamplight flickering out from the eyes. You can see it's got clothing on, but it's ripped and it seems to be soaking and sodded and colored in all sorts of grime. Yeah. And it's just whipping its arms right and left, kind of pushing itself out from behind this tree that kind of gets in the way. And what do you say? We dive into combat for the first time, actually.
Well, let's do it.
Let's
All right.
see.
With a troll.
With a troll. I got no real map for this one, so what I'll do is I'll drop our tokens on the main map so that you guys can easily roll. So let me pop those down. Just make a little space for them. 1 and 2 and Gilly, and then we'll drop our troll as well. Boom. Okay. Yeah, it's a wee bit bigger than yours.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what we could do? I do have another like kind of generic map. Yeah, let's do this one. That's perfect. I do have a map. I'm lying to y'all. 1 second. Let me get this out of the way. Oh yeah, this is perfect. This is perfect. I got us ourselves.
My stress levels just went capped out.
We'll have a
immediately.
pretty map that everything will be on when we die to the troll in our first episode.
Yep. Give it a second. It's loading up. I just pulled you all over to it, so it should be loading up fairly quickly. Okay. So we'll put you... Again, all of this is somewhat abstracted. We'll walk through... Again, we're going to walk through combat again because I know it's been a couple weeks since we've done it when we did our practice. And even then, we were kind of like, stepping through it a little bit easy. But yeah, let's center that a little bit more. But you see just kind of pushing out from behind this large tree over here. Angry, hungry, and you all step out into it. All right, so let me put you into combat. All right, so there's that. So let me share. So let's go through combat one more time. And again, this is for folks. Again, if you're watching this to learn, we'll kind of go through this. So one of the things you want to consider is their surprise ambush. I'm going to say for now, no surprise, no ambush. He was making enough noise that you're not completely surprised that something was there. But also, you all didn't really surprise him as he was kind of hearing the sounds of approaching people and the relative quiet of the swamp. So there's no initiative in One Ring. It's really most of the time, almost all the time, players will go first, but there's kind of two sections of combat. First, there's the opening volley, and then we move into close quarters. And so most combats are presumed to start at a distance where you can kind of see your adversary, and people, if they have ranged weapons, can potentially kind of get a quick volley off, and then they presume to kind of close into melee at that point. So let's start with that. So how many of you actually have some kind of weapon that you could potentially use for a ranged combat attack here?
Got a
have my
spear that I can
bow.
throw.
You have a spear, okay. All right.
I have a bow. I'm just not entirely sure if it would have been equipped.
We'll say it is.
I would have
Don't
had it readied.
I would assume you're, especially since Gilly is the one who's carrying the lantern at this point.
Okay.
I think it's perfectly reasonable that you would have a weapon in your hands ready as you're traveling through what otherwise is fairly kind of scary,
A
potentially
marsh at night?
dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to hold it as high as I can without my arm getting tired.
Okay. So as this troll steps from behind this broken down tree, has this what looks like a waterlogged chunk of log in its hand. It hurls it at you all, and you all do the same. Go ahead, and you're going to make your attack here. So when you're doing opening volleys, you're just making an attack roll. It's a normal ranged attack roll. Nothing different. So go ahead and you can roll those.
Am I also rolling?
Do you have a one-handed? We'll say, do you
No.
have any kind of anything you're going to throw here? Okay.
How long
right.
is it letting you roll? It's not letting me roll.
Remember,
to
you have
select
to target. Like with our
double
foundry
right
system,
click
you have to target the troll.
I thought I
To
did.
target, it's double right click.
Thank
double
you.
right
Yep. Great success.
Oh, I got a great success on my throw here.
Look at you, buddy. It's a failure for Aurinial. No sign of
It is a
Lagos.
failure.
Yeah, everything's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. It's first combat. I wouldn't TPK people in the first combat. That's not something I would do. Third or fourth probably. Okay, so Floy, you're the one who hit Floy. I think everybody else failed. So deals 4 damage. So in
On a
this
great
game,
success, I can add like a bonus to it. I think.
so commonly when you're doing, you want to look at your weapon and you want to see what special traits your weapon might have that could kind of give you an idea of what special feature you can use for that extra success. Totally, Steven. Second combat if they're dicks, but never the first. Third combat, 100%. Someone's going down. So usually if you're doing ranged, it might have pierce. So you're doing a spear, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so spears should have the pierce trait, which means you can spend 1 success icon, which you have, to modify the feat die numerical result of your attack by +3, which could possibly trigger a piercing blow. And so, and this can't be, so you can do that. Piercing blow, remember, is a 10. I think it's a 10 or a 12 on the D12. Basically, it's a 10 or it's a Gandalf.
Oh, so I rolled a 9. So if I add that +3, it becomes a 12.
That's true. You would get a piercing blow.
Let's do it.
So we'll go ahead and do that. So then what I have to do is I have to roll a protection roll. So since you made your piercing blow, okay, you've done your 4 damage, no problem. But it was such a good throw as you ducked underneath this wild hurl of this waterlogged piece of wood. You duck down, and then as it's recoiling, you see a perfect opportunity to kind of get your spear wedged underneath the arm, like this little meaty area where it's not necessarily protected. You hurl the spear, and you can see if you can try to get some kind of injury. So I have to roll armor. What's the injury rating on your weapon?
Let me take a look. 14.
Okay, so what I need to do is I need to do my protection roll. Let me see what I got. 1 second. Sorry, I'm going through all my own little things.
I feel like a great success balances out a failure, right? Like that all works out.
You're not taking credit for my feats.
Okay. So what I have to do now to like sort of defend against your piercing blow is I roll protection. That's a feat die, so a D12 plus a number of success dice, that's the D6s, equal to my protection value of the armor that I have, right? I have armor 3, so I'm rolling a feat die and 3, so I'm rolling a D12 and 3 D6s, and I need to beat your injury rating. What was the
14.
injury again?
That's 14.
So I have to beat a 14. Let's see if it does it automatically or if it's just going to roll the 3d6s. Nope, this looks good. I fail.
Oh.
Yes, you did.
I fail. And so that means I now have to roll Well, actually, it's a little different with enemies. Usually, some enemies will like with one, like if it's a relatively weak or mild enemy, like one wound just basically slays them. But this is a troll. So you manage to you throw your spear, their arm kind of is recoiling from having missed their throw, and your spearhead embeds deeply into the rib cage, and you can see it's just kind of hanging there. And they look down, angry at this, and just swing down with their arm, and you can see it just plucks out, rips a whole chunk of flesh, pops one of the ribs free, and you can see that you've definitely broken its ribs and it's wounded and hurt. But yeah, it's still going to keep going, though. And we're going to get into proper combat. If this was like a goblin, for instance, you would have outright killed it. But because it's a troll, it actually going to keep going. All right. So let's then assume we're going to dive into then our like kind of, first round of combat. So we did our opening
Does
volley.
he also attack us?
No, I was just doing that for flavor.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like if he had like a ranged weapon of some kind, he could have, but like he doesn't. I was just, again, flavor. All right, so now, again, we're doing that. We're not always going to go this slow. We're just going slow for the first step, trying to get things down, etc. So then the next thing we got to do is we do stance selection, right? So like you all determine your stance. There's 4 different stances you can take. There's forward stance. And that's very aggressive whenever you do forward stance. If you're going to get into melee, that gives you an extra die on your attack rolls. It also means that any other close combat attacks against you gain an extra d6. Gives you a specific combat task. Like in every one of these stances has a special ability that you can do. In this case, you could potentially do intimidate, which is rolling an awe test, etc. Open stance is a balanced stance. There's no advantages or disadvantages. There's like no extra bonuses, no extra penalties, etc. The combat task you get is what's called Rally Comrades. You can do an Enhearten roll to try to inspire everybody so that on the next round, everybody can basically get a bonus to their attacks. There's a defensive stance, which is a very protective stance, meaning your attack rolls are going to lose a d6, but for each opponent that's going to engage you. In this case, there's only going to be the one. But close combat attacks against you are reduced by 1. And you also have the ability to do what's called Protect Companion, which means you can make a battle roll as your action. And on a successful roll, the next attack aimed at whoever you're protecting is essentially more difficult. And then there's the rearward stance, which is if you want somebody to remain ranged during this part of combat, you can go into rearward stance. Now, there's a couple limitations to that. The total number of enemies can't be more than twice the number of heroes, which is not the case here. You just got the one troll. And then the other thing is, for every player hero that's in a rearward stance, there has to be at least 2 other heroes that are in melee, which works out perfect for us since there's 3 of you. One of you basically can stay back and shoot from a distance. The other 2 have to get up, though, to be able to do that. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so why don't we go ahead and declare that? Remember, you can do that directly on your token. And if you have trouble doing it, I can do it for you. So yeah. So Aurenial, what stance are you going to go with?
I think I'll need you to do it for me. I was going to go with defensive.
Defensive, gotcha. Let's see. Floyd, what do you want to do?
Going all in forward.
He just wants to die right off the bat. Okay, so forward stance. And then, Gilly, what do you want to do?
To start, I'm going to be open.
Open?
So I can do the Enhearten roll.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Now, the stance determines initiative, basically. So, like, forward stance is going to get to go first, then open stance, then defensive stance, then rearward. So there's no roll for initiative like we have in other games. Okay? Okay. So the next thing we do is we engage. So this is like how we kind of assign targets. So imagine we're like they fired their shots, they threw their spears, and charging in, you're about to swing and you're about to fight. And we just kind of figure out who, like, target assignment, like where each people are who's gonna target each other. You all have one option. So basically, Aurenial, Floy, you can just move your tokens right up next to the troll. No big deal. And you too, Gilly, actually, since you're in open stance, you would effectively be engaging the troll as well. And again, this is all kind of...
Do I have to go forward for that?
No.
Just-
I mean, but technically, if you're in open stance, like, and you're not playing in rearward, technically he could choose kind of who he wants to attack. The only way he couldn't attack you is if you were in rearward stance.
Got
So
it. Okay.
technically, he could still attack you if he wanted to on this turn, and I might, because I'll probably roll random.
Got it.
All right, so then let's go. Floy, you're up first, man. What do you want to do?
I'm just gonna charge him two-handed with my great axe and just swing at him.
Okay. All right, you charge in, you're swinging, you got that going. Don't forget, I want to remind everybody, we've got 7 audience purchased bonus die. You've got your hope that you can potentially
that's what I
spend
wanna
to
do. I'm
tap
gonna use
in inspired. Okay, so you're
So,
using hope.
Yeah, I'm gonna use hope here.
Are you tapping into a distinctive feature?
Distinctive feature. Let me remember what those were real quick.
It's on your character sheet.
They're right underneath your common skills.
You're killing me, boss.
All right.
Let's-
Maybe proud.
Proud.
Help my feats
Okay.
and achievements. At highest
Okay.
save, I don't know.
We'll take it for now. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, go get it. Go get him, cowboy.
All right.
All right. So yeah, go in, roll your attack. Make sure you add in your bonus die that you get from being inspired and everything, and then and give it a roll, man.
Oh, that was close.
That's a great
success.
success. That's a
Wow.
great success. What kind of weapon do you have? Are you using?
Type. It's a great
Yeah.
axe.
Using his great axe.
All right. So with that extra success icon you get, with an axe, axes do not have pierce. You could do a heavy blow, or you can do a fend off. So a heavy blow, you can spend 1 success icon to increase the target's endurance loss by an amount equal to your strength, so you can get extra damage. And if you're using a two-handed weapon, it would be even more. Fend off is to modify your own parry rating. So if you want to be more defensive because you're concerned you might get attacked this round, it could potentially increase your parry rating by +1. So those are the two you would have to choose from with your axe.
I think I'll do the heavy blow and just add the extra damage to it.
Okay, so what's your strength?
Straight to 6.
Okay, +1 since you're using two-handed weapons. That's 7. And then what's the damage on the weapon?
Let's see.
It's flat. You don't roll
It's
for
7.
damage. Okay, so 7 + 7. You just did 14 points of damage to this thing. Describe the blow as you come charging in after your spear and hack into this guy.
That's crazy. After throwing the spear, I just pull out my great axe. I think I'm like stomach height because I'm pretty stout for a dwarf. So I just slash into his abdomen.
Okay. And he looks down at you and he's just hate just filling his eyes. Next up, it's gonna be Gilly.
So, I want to do an enhearten roll. So, I am going to use a point of hope to use my distinctive feature, True Hearted, to give me an extra dice. And for funsies, no, I won't. I'll just do that.
Okay. Okay. But funsies is what we're here for. Okay.
So, bonus die. And I'm rolling.
Beautiful. That looks great.
An extraordinary
Oh.
success.
Wow.
Wow. That's amazing. So, So first of all, you were successful, so that means everybody is going to get a bonus die their next round. Now, specifically for what you're doing, it's dependent upon stance, but because you have extra success icons, so normally your action of what's it called again? Rally comrades.
Yeah.
So normally, if you just had a plain normal success, only people in a forward stance would have gained the bonus.
Mhm.
But because you've got those extra successes that's to make it into an extraordinary success, this basically lets it so that anybody, so if your role includes a success icon, the bonus is applied to all player heroes fighting in a close combat stance. So whether you're in forward, open, or defensive, next round, you're going to get a bonus die on your attack.
Even rearward as well, then, right?
No, it has to be a
Oh,
close.
okay. Got it.
Actually, no. Wait,
Close
you might be
combat
right.
stance.
Close combat stance. It's not. It doesn't say melee.
Got it, okay.
This is all close combat. Yep. Good call. Okay. Awesome. You guys are really. You're right, Matt Foreman. They are really popping off. I
So, yeah,
disapprove.
You can't be rearward then because it's rearward or close combat stance.
Yeah.
So 3 are close combat, 1 is rearward.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Erennial comes to you.
So I'm gonna try for protect companion,
Okay. Who are you going to choose to protect?
Gilly.
Okay. All right. Do you have battle?
I'm pretty sure I do.
Roll battle.
Yep,
Before-
that's fine.
Yeah, this is
Oh,
this
even
is for
before
something
I roll
else.
battle for this. Okay.
This is for something else.
19, great success.
You see this thing is staring down at Floy, and you see hate burning in his eye, and you hear under the breath like some sort of muttering about like dwarven meat or whatever. And after the 2 blows Floy has left into it, you probably would get the instinctive, the instinct that Floy might be the choice of target on their next on their attack. Yeah.
Then I will do Floy
Okay.
for that. And I will go ahead and take one of our 7.
Okay. I got you.
So I'm clicking bonus die. And I'm going to try this.
Go for it.
Success, 15.
It's a success. So basically, what this means is I'm going to have a penalty on my attack against Floy. Right? I lose a bonus die.
Nice.
All right. Okay. So it's now the troll's turn. Very excited. Very excited. So there's one thing I forgot when I was making my protection roll, but I'm not going to go back and fix it. Is that this troll has an ability called Hatred for dwarves, which means all of their rolls are favored when dealing with dwarves. So, as I said, they're going to turn dwarf meat hungry. And he's just going to look down, and it's going to do this. Pick this huge club that you thought was just like a tree trunk, and it might actually just be a tree trunk. And they're just going to troll smash, boosh, and it's going to bring it down in an overhead sweep onto Floy. So, okay, so couple. All right, I need to target. Let me target Floy. Let's target for my attack, and then using the club. All right, so he's gonna get an extra feat die because it's favored, but he is going to have 1 penalty die because of Erennial's protection. So,
Companion.
yeah. Okay, here we go. Oh, goodness. That's still a success. Not a
Nice.
great success, but it's still a success. So attacks using the club deals 6 damage, and you need to make a protection roll test. So the yeah, you should be able to click right in the chat window, and it should roll your protection roll test for you directly from there.
And I have to get a better.
You have
Score
to, yeah, you have. So it's its injury rating. So every weapon has an injury rating, and so this troll's club. 1 second before you roll.
On the default.
Before you roll, 1 sec. I just want to look at one thing. I also have. I'm gonna spend a point of hate to use my other fell ability, which is Horrible Strength. So whenever I score a piercing blow with a close combat attack, I can spend 1 hate to make the target's protection roll ill-favored. So go ahead and make your protection roll, but you're going to do it ill-favored, which means you're rolling 2 feat die and taking the worst.
So I switch it over to worst.
Yeah, so
The little-
you
little
would.
tab thing.
Yeah, worst.
Yeah,
That's right.
okay.
Yep, perfect.
Ooh, can I hope this?
What do you think? What do you think you're using here? Like, what's your? So what do you? So you want to spend a hope to get a bonus die?
Yeah, what is spending hope? Does that?
So you're trying to get. You basically you're trying to. So burning a hope. Oh my God. Let me see if I explain this right. Burning a hope gets you. Basically gets you an extra d6. So if you spend 1 point of your hope before you roll, you add an extra 1d6 to your pool. If you're inspired, however, when you spend your hope point, you get double the effect, gaining 2d6 instead of 1d6. So if you can make a case that one of your distinctive features is being tapped into here, that's effectively how you're going to get inspired. There's other ways I think that you might be able to get inspired too. So if you think you can make the case. So do you? If not, if you're still spending 1 point of hope, it's just a question of whether or not you're getting 1d6 or 2d6 to your pool.
Oh, I see. I'll just take the 1. It's fine.
Okay, go for it. Make that roll. Add your bonus die. You're rolling an ill-favored.
Oh, is that good?
That is very
Wow.
good. That's an
Holy moly.
extraordinary success. Even with you only rolled a 2, but you had so many success die because you were just this big armed man. So what does this look like? This thing reaches and takes this huge, what effectively is like a partially whittled tree trunk, swings it down on you, smashes. It looks awful. It looks to Aurenial and Gilly like you are dead. Aurenial, you do your best to kind of take your weapon and try to get the blow slightly off center. Maybe you even shove Floy. But Floy, you just get smushed down into the water. And for a moment, there's a second where like as the tree trunks pulled back into getting ready for a second swing, Floy is like beneath the swamp water and you don't see him whatsoever. And then suddenly underneath out from the water, this dwarf covered in now grime and gook, your armor still intact. It's a little dented here and there. It took a beating, but whatever that, like your tiny little tank boy managed to protect yourself from a wound. You still take what do you got?
You know the hair flip when you get out of the pool, but he does that with his beard.
His beard.
That's what I'm imagining.
I'm for that. I'm 100% for that. Okay, so you get up, you take your points of damage. It was 6 points from your endurance,
Okay.
but you don't take a wound. Okay.
Is that all you got, big fella?
Looks down confused. That usually works. And then we will move on to the next round. Same deal, stance selection. What do you guys want? I can do it for
Forward.
you to make it faster. Forward still, okay.
Yeah.
Aurenial, what do you want?
I'm gonna move up to forward also.
Okay, forward
I
stance
want
it
to get my
is.
bonus from the Unheartened, so I'm going to stay open.
Open it is, okay. Aurenial or Floy, you can go in whatever order you want.
Go ahead, Fly.
Beard flip, I love it.
I'll give you a chance.
Kill him.
I'm getting out of the water.
All right.
All right, Aurenial, you're up. What do you do?
All
You
right,
get your
so
you get a
I
plus
have-
you get a +1 from Gilly. Don't forget.
Yep. Okay, so I have switched to my keen weapon, which is my short sword.
Oh, very nice.
So,
You want to explain what Keen does?
So that means that it is piercing on a 9 or higher instead of 10.
Yeah, one of the ways you advance, like there's kind of 2 ways you advance your character. Like character advancement is usually done through valor and wisdom rewards. Wisdom is like getting extra virtues, which are equivalent of like talents in other games. And then rewards are basically making your gear like really cool and badass, right? Giving it
Yeah,
names,
like
giving it like
names.
extra bonuses and stuff like that. And so you took Keen, which is a way like because you get to start with one.
And
Okay.
I am bold. So can I say that that is inspired? Can I spend
well,
the
I
hope?
mean, yeah, I think so. You're gonna have to describe how bold this looks. Like, what's this bold attack that Aurenial's doing here?
I think just we've been fighting together for a while, and like beard flip means shit's going down. So I think that's like, all right, we're in this. Like, saw like he was being successful, and I'm like, okay, we've like we're clicking, kind of on all cylinders as a group. You like we kind of got everything working, and so now she's just like spear. Hopefully,
Okay.
somewhere.
We're drift compatible, Jeff.
That sounds collaborative. Is that bold though?
Like I've been emboldened by that. Like, you know,
Oh,
kind of
okay.
like Flo was saying. Like now it's my turn to see if
Okay.
like I can give my.
All right.
if I can
It's
give
first
my-
session. We'll let it go.
Okay, I'll work on it.
We'll let it go. Okay. Great success. So yeah, you definitely hit its number. Doesn't look like you got a piercing blow, however, but it is a great success. You got an extra success. What weapon are you using? Did you say keen short
I'm
sword?
using my short sword.
Okay, so you can spend your extra success to do a heavy blow. You could increase the amount of endurance damage you do. You can also do a pierce. So
I'll
you
go
can
ahead and take
spend.
Pierce. Yeah.
Okay, so you spend one six. So let's do the math first. You spend one success icon to modify the feat die of your attack by +1 if using swords, which is what you would do. That's probably not going to help you here because you rolled a
Oh, okay.
5 on your feat die. So the pierce probably wouldn't make sense. So
Got it.
you would either want to do heavy blow or fend off probably here. Heavy blow is just a flat increase to damage of the attack. Fend off is if you think you're going to be the one getting attacked on this turn, it would increase your parry rating, making it harder for him to hit you back.
I did say bold, so I'll go heavy blow.
Okay, so what's your strength?
My strength is 7.
Okay, 7. And is it a two-handed weapon or is it a one-handed weapon? Short sword, so it's one-handed. Okay.
Yep.
So it'll be 7 additional points. So what's the damage on your short sword?
3.
So 7 plus 3, you just did 10 points of damage. So describe what this bold flavor attack looks like. What does it look like?
So if I recall correctly, Floyd had done some damage kind of like to the ribcage area.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be short sword into the wound.
Okay. Just going right at it, just wailing away as he kind of recoils, looks down at Floyd. That should work. And why he's confused at this little dwarf suddenly popping up from the water. You just take that opportunity to just jam the short sword right into the wound. Floyd, you're next.
I'll just get up, take another swing with my axe here.
Go for it, man.
The only thing you're eating is the heavy end of my blade.
Yeah, I don't like iron in my diet. Unless it's from meat.
Oh my god, you guys are
Oh my
crushing your
Wow.
rolls. This is insane. I
could add 2 heavy
disapprove.
blows. That'd
Oh
be
my
14
goodness.
damage on top of the
Can
7
you do?
damage
I don't think you
dex.
can do 2 of the same. I think you can only. I think you.
per a success roll. Or per
I
6
think you
die.
can, but I don't think you can tap into 2 of the same type. I think you
Oh,
have to
really?
spend them on different things. I might be wrong on that. We'll have to double check that, Melissa. If you want to note that for later, I'll look it up. But that vaguely sounds familiar to me, and so we can say we'll do a heavy blow, and then you also get a fend off. So when he attacks you,
Okay.
you'll have a +1 as well. Okay. So what's the total then for me between weapon plus
Just
strength?
on the 14.
Another 14. Got it. Oh my god, you guys are wrecking this thing. It's still up, by the way. You guys have done 42 points of damage to this thing. It is still up, but it's like,
Oh god.
very angry, but it's looking very, very beat up. Okay.
You guys took your +1 or whatever from
Yeah.
me, right? Okay.
Yeah, they did. That was a great and hard. That made this was a hell of a round. So that was Floyd's turn. Gilly, open stance. What's up? What's you doing?
Okay. So I have my short sword.
Finish him.
I have my short sword.
Okay.
She's gonna kind of like go around, and she just wants to take like a swipe at like maybe like his ankle, like break his Achilles tendon or something if she can. That's my thought. That's my hope. But what I would like to see is if I can get inspiration because I'm keen-eyed.
So you're looking for like a
So-
very precise like Achilles strike?
Yeah,
Is that what
like
you're
I'm
saying?
going specifically.
I don't know if Achilles would make sense because it's probably
Or, like-
underwater, but maybe like the
or, like,
hamstring.
his calf or something. Yeah, his hamstring.
Let's do hamstring. I think hamstring's maybe even worse than. Yeah, I think that makes sense, and it's
Sounds
probably
awful.
like
All
with
of
the
it sounds
size of the
awful.
troll, you're like
I'm
you know
just
you're
like
probably
swiping up.
reaching up. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I like it. Yeah, sure, go for it.
Okay. Okay.
Again, first session. I'm being nice. That's why I only threw one troll at you.
I'm scared. I'm scared. So that's a bonus die. And then can I get another bonus from one of our pool?
Yeah, you got it. Don't forget, by the way, that you all can spend fellowship at some point if you wanted to make a roll favored. That's your patron ability.
Oh, okay. I
Okay.
failed.
How does this fail? What goes wrong as you go up and
So-
try to swing?
Gilly like misses a rock, right? So she takes a little hop to like try and get some extra oomph when she goes,
Yeah.
and she oomphs too hard, and she kind of like spins around. So now she's facing Erennial, and
Mhm.
she's just like not facing the troll anymore.
Nearly. Oh shoot! That's radio. You're a scholar. You have books. Yeah. Okay. All right. It's the troll's turn. And since the troll took damage from both Aurenial and Floy, I think what we'll do is I'll 50-50 this to see if he continues trying to plot Floy or if he goes after Aurenial this time. So 1 to 3, I'm gonna roll d6. 1 to 3, Aurenial. 4 to 6 will be Floy. It'll be Aurenial this time. As
No, little dirty man.
actually no. I'm sorry. That's probably wouldn't make sense because he does hate. It's that hatred dwarves thing I keep
He
forgetting.
hates
So
dwarves.
yeah, I think he will because of his hatred for dwarves.
No, go down, little dwarf can thing. Boom.
He's gonna swing down, smash at you. You got +1 to your parry. Don't forget. Let's see.
Jeff's playing Whack-a-Floy.
So this is gonna be favored for me, which is that's again, yeah, that's why that makes sense. It makes nothing but sense to roll if I have favored. So yeah, I'll go ahead and same thing. I'll try to club him once more. I don't have any bonus die. I don't have any penalty dice this time.
Swing hard.
Shoot! As the
Oh,
Gandalf rune pops up
Gandalf.
for me. How do you dodge out of the way of this, or how do you not get hit or take damage from this? What happens?
This one I do a little barrel roll to the side.
Okay. Barrel roll through the water, and it's just like splashing everywhere. You can feel the swampy grime all through the armor. You can trigger it multiple times. Thank you, Melissa. So next time we'll know. You can trigger
so
multiple
good while
hit
doing it though, Jeff. Like
It
so
did
good.
look great. All right, that's the end of that round. We are new round, back to a stance declaration. See how this could probably be quick. We're playing through a little slow.
Same stance.
Same stance. Floy, you
Yeah,
good? Gilly, what do you want?
Rearward.
Gonna back up.
Yep.
Okay. So technically, I think you would need to spend, because on your turn you get kind of like a main action and like a secondary action. The main
I need to
action is the
swap
bulk of your
weapons.
turn. You would basically need to swap weapons. This is kind of where you're at since you did make an attack with the previous one. So if you're looking, yeah, that's so if you decide to attack, you would need to do that first. Aurenial or Floy, which one of you wants to go first? This thing is
Very frustrated. Why are you not smashed yet? Grr.
Yeah, after my little barrel roll, I just pretty much take stance again. Just
Okay.
swipe him in the knees.
okay. Go for it.
I'm gonna use fellowship here for that favor. Is that how it works?
So you want to? Okay, so you're gonna burn one of your
Yeah,
fellowship
I'm gonna
points.
try this out.
So everybody needs to do this in their character sheet at the bottom where the fellowship is. You guys have a pool of 5. You get +1 from Balin. You got +1 from Gilly's special cultural virtue. So you have a total of 5. Everyone move it down to 4. You can roll it favored, which means you're rolling your 2 feet die and taking the better. Okay, you got him.
Success.
Regular success this time. However, your feet die was a great roll, which means a protection test is coming. Yeah, so I should be able to just roll directly from here. Again, 3 armor.
Against a 20.
Floy, you've wounded him for the 2nd time. Describe your kill.
Yeah, after just dodging and taking all these blows, all these slashes I've given to him, my final slash is just straight through his chest.
oh, yeah, and he just kind of does this classic like big creature wobble, smashes down into the water. Erinial, Floy, you have to tumble out of the way not to get smashed by the body as like an eruption of like grimy swamp water just covers both of you. Gilly, you've backed up out of the way, and this thing falls to the ground. You all were successful. Fantastic. Your rolls, by the way,
crazy.
were
That was so
amazing.
cool.
That was not how I went practice.
It was not like that in practice at all. No, I was wrecking you guys in practice. And those were just like regular ruffians. This is a troll that you guys just wrecked them. Oh, man. Okay. I think Floyd's the only one who took some damage, right? I think he's the only one. Only took the one, too. Because the second round, he did not hit you. All right. Let's get back to it. So, again, this is middle of the night. So, maybe about 2-3 hours past dusk. You're still in this swamp. You've got this now floating, slowly sinking body of a troll dipping into the darkness. You feel kind of a sense of invigoration after having defeated it, but at the same time, like, there must be a bit of concern, like, holy crap, that was a little closer, more close than comfort, right? What do you all want to do?
Take a breather from pretty much the adrenaline drop, and then just try to look for that campfire we saw earlier.
Yeah, how far had we made it in terms of our progress toward that?
Halfway.
fire?
Probably halfway.
I just
Was there anything
checked
on the troll?
body. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you go through and no, you find like some indeterminate meats. You're not exactly sure what creatures these might have come from. None of it looks dwarf or hobbit or human or anything like that, but it's certainly, you see, what just looks like something maybe they fished out of the marsh water, or maybe critters on the edge of the marshes or by the Chetwood for something like that, but nothing in particular.
Can I put its head on my spear for like a little puppet?
You want to cut a head off. Okay, that's horrifying.
It's
Sure.
not very heroic of you.
Yeah, we'll say go ahead. Yeah, this is going to be this isn't really greed, is it? What do we call this something? I feel like this is sort of like a shadow thing, like
Yeah,
the
this was a
horrific
shadow.
nature. You
Yeah.
feel like that?
Is this your pride? Is this you being proud?
Yeah, I just defeated a troll.
Okay. Gonna go at least a little murder hobo. Well, it was a troll. I mean, it's not like it was just some random. And they did get attacked, so it's totally cool.
Yeah, we just came to this guy's home and just murdered him.
Okay, you want to take, if you want to take like a trophy. I mean, the head's fairly big, so if you want to take like a trophy, like a tooth or an ear or something like that, I think that's probably fine for now. Yeah. Okay. All right. Didn't you do that once before in a different game where you just took trophies or whatever?
I don't remember.
Okay.
That sounds like an Ashley thing.
It does. She took
Definitely.
fingers once. That's why I said, like, I just love how she
I
even
took
made it in the Lord of the
fingers,
Rings.
ears,
All right.
you know.
So
Uh,
Iridial wants to like kind of move this back under the brush and keep moving along because we've already used up all of our daylight, and then it'd be good
Okay.
to get some rest tonight.
all right. So why don't we give another roll here to just sort of get back on the trail? It's harder to see the plume of smoke now, and just you're really just trying to navigate based upon your memory. Things kind of gotten turned around in the fight. So again, I don't think travel is what we're looking for here. I'll say, we can do something like we can do like an explore, we can do a hunt, we could do an awareness.
Can
Take
Gilly
up.
help me with an awareness while I do a hunt?
Yeah, I
Well,
could
she
do
can
an
support you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll kind of mess around with that mechanic. So support is just basically aiding, like if you're aiding or you're helping, whatever it might be, you're lending aid. So Gilly, are you
awareness. I got the
you're
lantern.
right, but you're Your fellowship focus is Floy, though, right?
Mine is Floyd.
Okay, so you only get 1 extra d6 than Aureliel.
Okay.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Oh no, I failed by 1.
Okay. You the next that was about I said this we'll say it was I said about 2 hours or so after dusk by the time, because you kind of entered around dusk, traveled for about 2 hours to the marshes, fought the troll, tried to get back on track. 2 hours go by, and Aureliel, you feel certain that you should have, you were very confident at a certain point that this was the direction that you saw it. You kind of tried to do best to mark trees on the horizon, but as the sun goes down and everything becomes dark, the whispers start to come up, here and there from the shadows, and kind of starts to unsettle you from time to time. Everyone go ahead and roll another valor test as sort of as you feel like you're lost at this point. You've been wandering around these marshes for a bit too long.
Failure.
We've got an automatic success as Floy rolls a
Success.
Gandalf. Yeah. Okay, so Aureliel, go ahead and take a point of shadow. Same for you, Gilly. As the two of you are getting a little discouraged and a little frightened. Like, what else could be in here? You're still hearing the strange sounds. And then periodically, like almost like when the water just sort of bubbles up, you see a splash around. You almost hear what sounds like a whisper, like, oh, it's like some voice on the wind. A small fog begins to kind of roll in as well. And it makes it very, very difficult. And now not only are you uncertain which direction the campfire might be, you're actually somewhat uncertain which direction out might be. With no sun to give you an idea of east and west, you look up at the stars, but the mist and the fog begin to cover your eyes a bit. You're having trouble moving about, and you become a little bit concerned. Floy, you're still riding high, I think, from your troll. Maybe nothing in here could harm you, right? We got a posture check from Gabe. Hi, Gabe. So Floy, with seeing Aureliel and Gilly kind of starting to, you see in their faces as it kind of starting to become a little tension is beginning to glow, it's kind of grow. Floy, how do you want to help with this? Like, how do you want to either help inspire them, get them kind of get their wits going, or get back on the right path? What do you want to do?
Let's see what I got here. Okay, let's just like inspire them a bit. Like,
Okay.
Come on, guys. It might feel like I've been in here for hours, but it's just right around the corner. We just defeated a troll. You guys did amazing. Come on, we got this.
I feel like it sounds like an in-heart-and roll, Floy. Give it a go,
Alright.
man. Yeah, just for fun.
I don't have any skill points in that, but here we go.
Give it a roll. If you're success, I'll give them a bonus or something later. If you're not successful, it's still you did something.
Wait, that's not even possible.
You've got like no. I mean, if you roll a Gandalf, it's automatic
True.
success. He's like saying all this while he's like just chewing on the troll. You're like, oh, guys, we got here. No problem. Da, da, da. Ugh. Okay. More hours pass. You're getting very tired, exhausted even, but there's no real proper place to make camp within this marshland. You're I would say, Gilly, at certain points you're almost up to your neck in the swamp water itself because of how deep it's getting here and there. More than once you feel something sloshing around by your feet, nipping at your legs every now and then. The bugs are stinging, biting your neck here and there. You're having to swat them. The sweat is beginning to bead on your faces. All of you just look worse for wear. Aureliel, roll. I'll say this. Everyone, go ahead and roll awareness. Oh, now you guys roll well. Oh, look at that. Everyone with a great success. Okay. Too busy just biting on the troll. It tastes really good. Dip it with some hummus. It's great. Perennial, Gilly, maybe it's something Floyd said, but, redetermined efforts. Maybe it dawns on you, stop focusing only on your eyes. Listen, there's sounds. And at a certain point you hear sounds like a bark and maybe a howl. And then what sounds like almost like a whimper or a yelp. It sounds like dogs fighting or playing. You hear what almost sounds like a soft sound of a flute, someone playing music, not particularly well. And as you're wading through the water, finally chasing after the sounds, focusing on the things that you know are real, ignoring the strange whispers that lurk, you finally catch sight of a small flicker of camplight on the horizon, and you see this island in the middle of the marshland. This large tree has fell over, hollowed out, and you can see that sitting in there. There's a campfire that's been set up, and you see at least one person lit up by firelight. You see at least one other shadow moving about. Someone's here. How do you want to approach it? Hey, Bert, how's it going? You feeling any better?
I would say we don't want to get shot by her arrow, so I think we should make our presence known. So, Aurenial would just try calling out, at least we've been sent to make sure you're okay.
So you call that out, and you immediately hear the sounds of those dogs suddenly shift and move. Those shadows move about. One of them, and their head kind of dips up. And then you hear a voice, but it's not a woman's voice. It's a man's voice.
I know Elise here. You're not welcome. Off with you.
And the flute playing stops.
Anybody better at the talky talk stuff than me?
My courtesy is pretty good, but I don't know how well Gilly herself will do.
Go for it.
Could I do a courtesy roll first to see how well I do, Jeff?
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and bring us over to a map just to prove that not everything has to be combat, but it certainly can. It certainly can. As we approach this little campfire.
Oh, I closed my thing.
All right. It's there. All right. So you want to do courtesy? Okay. So
Yeah.
let's go through the custom skills for a second, and then you can decide if that's what you want to do.
Okay.
So there's song, courtesy, and riddle. Those are kind of custom skills. So these social skills, you might want to think of them from other terms. So the song, for instance, is you can kind of fairly self-explanatory in a way, kind of knowing the proper words or song. Courtesy, depending on your audience, could be if you're speaking to kind of a refined audience, courtesy might go over very well. But if you're speaking to a more downtrodden audience, it's possible if things go poorly with your role, that could actually have a very poor effect. It's up to you. So what we're digging into, we're actually going to dig in for the first time because again, doing stuff slow tonight just to get everything together. We're going to do a council. In this case, as you're approaching this. Small, simple, because there's stakes here. Just because, you're out in the wild, there's a guy out here, there's two dogs. This could go well, this could go poorly, but we're going to dig into the council rules. So council is basically like giving some structure to a social encounter, and it's not you don't want to use it for all the time. Like when we were doing back on the farm, when we were doing our like Rosa Goodborough and everything, you don't want to use that for that. It's very simple. But here, you're trying to engender some kind of trust from this person here and there. So you might want to be, kind of careful. So let me dig out those rules and I can walk everyone through them. All right. So there's basically 3 steps. So step 1 is just sort of set resistance. So what this effectively is kind of like a skill challenge. You all roll a series of skill tests and like we role play it out. And based upon your role play, you can get bonuses. You get, based upon your skill rolls, you get successes. And if you whittle down the resistance within a certain amount of time, then you can kind of get different degrees of successes. And you might have like a really great, awesome, and then they're like, yeah, your friends, come on in here, have some beans. Or it could be really bad and they attack you, or, you have an enemy, that kind of stuff. So I'll say this. So Gilly and Arino, both of you have talked. The idea first is like, what are you hoping to accomplish here? Like, and you can speak this sort of vaguely, like, but what are you hoping to accomplish here?
I think more than anything, if he's maybe seen Elisa or come into contact with the goblins.
Okay, so you want to basically question him and get some information. Like that. That's simple, right? Okay.
And not get shot.
Okay. So from the GM side, I sort of set a resistance level based upon what I think, whether I think this is like a reasonable request, a bold request, or an outrageous request. Reasonable is, it doesn't, like, the person who you're speaking to isn't really, it's no skin off their back if they do it. Like, there's not really putting them out. A bold request, you are benefiting more than they are. That's bold. And then an outrageous request is when you're kind of asking them to do something dangerous or something that like doesn't have any reward. There's like nothing in it whatsoever for them, and it actually could be, bad for them too. I'm gonna put this in the middle. So this is one of those things where there's no benefit to them to talk to you. So I'm gonna put this at, so again, I won't be as transparent in the future, but just so we kind of all know how this works. So I'm gonna set the resistance to 6. This is a bold request. Okay. So. And again, a lot of this stuff we'll do much more quickly in the future. So then the next thing we do, and you've already established this actually, is you do the introduction. So at the beginning of the council is like, who is presenting the company, right? Who is presenting the group? Who is breaking the ice? And that's
me.
That's what Gilly is doing here. Now, what this determines is the amount of rounds you have to whittle that resistance down before the council is basically over. And if you're successful in doing so, great. If you're not, whatever. So this is sort of the determining it. So this is going to be a roll. You've already said you wanted to use courtesy. Perfectly reasonable thing to use here. So you're asking, for support, for help, especially from friends. In this case, not really a friend. So you're going to go ahead and roll courtesy and see how you do.
So is this my role just to set up how many rounds, or is this my role to talk to him?
So like we'll do both. Like you can, if you want to RP something first, you can do that and then roll, or you can roll and then RP based upon the result. It's kind of up to you. Like we always play it kind of both ways.
Okay, yeah, because I want to use then my true-hearted distinctive feature.
Okay.
For inspiration. Just because I'm very
present yourself.
Sincere.
Yeah, as a sincere, like you just want to ask questions and be helpful. You don't mean any harm. Okay.
Okay, so roll that.
So this map, by the way, Matt, or no, it's Aaron. Sorry, Aaron was asking about that. This map right here is from a guy I back on Patreon, Salvatera. Some really nice maps, some hexes, some battle maps. We've used some for like Worlds Without Number as well. Big fan. Let's see. How'd you do?
I'm extraordinarily successful.
I dislike how successful you guys are being tonight. It's the waking of Angmar. Right now, Angmar is slumbering. When it wakes up, though, you guys are screwed. Okay, so the rolls to success, the time limit is equal to the resistance of the council as set. So 6 plus 1 for each success icon rolled. Would you do roll, how many of those? 3?
So
How many sixes did you roll on d6s?
I have 4 successes.
Oh dear, you rolled
Two.
4?
It says
Just 2, right?
I have 2 6s on my d6s. It says 4 success. Sorry.
Okay, so you've got
So I have
you've
2
got okay.
6s.
All right, so we set the basically the time frame is going to be the resistance, which is 6, plus the number of success icons. You have 2, and so that means that you have 8 basic. So basically, you have a time limit of 8. Okay, to try to work your magic, right? So the next thing we do, and this is basically the final stage, we interact. Now we just kind of RP it out, and we talk, and we kind of go in relative rounds. And you each kind of take turns saying something, doing something, using a skill. Usually the social skills is what you want to use, but you can make the case sometimes that maybe a different one would work. But yeah, that's where we're at. And so like, so you have to essentially accumulate enough successes during the course of this to match or exceed the resistance rating before you run out of chances. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So you basically have 8 chances, and I would ideally want everyone to kind of participate for fun, just because it's the first time around. And then there might be some, dependent on like in terms of him, like right now you guys are going to be suffering a -1 die because he's very reluctant. So you'll have on all your rolls for now, at least, that might change. He's going to be very reluctant to talk to you. So let's start it off. So Gilly, what is it you say as you like kind of introduce everybody? Like let's kind of go back to your introduction role. He's like,
I know, Alicia. You all just came in the wrong neighborhood.
So just to set this before, because I'm a hobbit,
mhm.
People in general are more open to talking to me.
Mhm.
So I will kind of, I'm holding my lantern and I'll probably like step out more into view and just be like, even though this is probably dangerous, I could get shot, but
Mhm.
Gilly's just kind of like insistent, and she's like, I'm Gilly from Bree. I'm currently researching the deaths of attacks from goblins on the animals in Combe. We saw some tracks, but we learned there's a missing woman from Combe, and we would really like to find her before something terrible happens.
So as you step into the light, so he's kind of staring at you. A couple things happen. First, you can see the dogs, which are quite big, as big as you, and they're mangy. They're you're not exactly sure what kind, but they're heavy with fur and they're big and mangy. Irinial, you see them, you're able to you're pretty confident those are some of the tracks you saw, right? The second thing, you mentioned Bree, and he's kind of just he growls at that point. So you have like 3 different people growling as you step in. But he's like,
You see any goblins here? I don't see any goblins here. So why don't you just piss off?
Well, like I said, that's secondary. We are looking for the woman. Did you perhaps, we didn't have her tracks. We followed your tracks. The other ones were goblin.
What are you trying to say? You say, I'm responsible for this woman. You come in my home and you accuse me of attacking some woman. You say,
No.
I'm some goblin lover. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely not. You look like a very reasonable man. A strong, capable man.
Maybe once.
Irinial and Floyd, what are you doing now? As this kind of continues.
Considering course of action.
Yeah. Again, this is we're messing around with the council now. We're weaving, RP. And by the way, RPing can give you bonuses. Like you can get bonuses and stuff. So if there's something cool you're doing, tap into your skills. Take your time. Do you step onto the island with Gilly first of all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll step on, but keep a distance. I don't want to get too close.
Okay, you step on, and the you can see that you know, as all of you kind of start to move a little bit closer. You said Floy, you're going to keep your distance. All you kind of move a little bit closer. Floy, we'll say you kind of stay back a little bit. You can see the dogs get a little bit closer, and he says at one point he says,
"Easy, Hooper. If one of them makes so much as a move, you go ahead and you tear their throat out."
And the dog just looks over. It's almost as if they're communicating.
Yeah, and one of my distinctive features is being wary. So
Okay.
I'm observable and mindful of like strangers. So I kind of want to see if I can like know where he's from, maybe like by his like accent or like what he's doing out here, sort of just like observing him.
I mean, courtesy, I think, makes sense, actually. If you want to, we could do insight, maybe, as well. Like, if there's something... I say courtesy or insight might make sense here.
Yeah.
If either of those sound good to you.
Courtesy, so I'll go with that.
Go for it, man.
I'm gonna need some extra help on this, so can I do the fellowship on this as well?
Yeah, you can. And everyone mark it down. So you should be down to 3 now. That's going to give you the favored roll.
And can I get the inspired for being a distinctive feature?
Yeah, so you can spend a hope and get 2 d6s. Absolutely.
Nice.
The other thing I should say, by the way, if you get extra successes on these rolls, those icon successes, that counts towards successes.
Just hold on.
I didn't get
Aw.
enough, unfortunately.
Does fellowship refresh?
At the end of every session, so you're going to always start up the next session with full
So
fellowship.
there's no point to be scared to spend
Nope,
it.
no point to be
Got it.
exactly correct. Yeah, 100%. You listen in, and you're not really saying anything. You're just kind of listening as Gilly and this guy talk, and he's really rough. You can tell he's had some hard living lately. How long, you're not sure. He's got an accent underneath that seems regionally appropriate, but you can't really distinguish it between Bree or Archet or Combe or somewhere else. The area somewhere, but he's not giving enough off. Okay. Take it easy, Aaron. Thanks for hanging out, man. Enjoy the party. Aurenial, do you want to hop in on this?
I do. I'm struggling because I have nothing in anything that is socially related.
Be creative.
What I was trying to go for maybe is travel and just trying to kind of entreat him on the like we're trying to move. It's marshland. It's nighttime. There's a whole lot going on. You've got a fire. It would really be better for us to just stick together. Let us near your campfire for the night. And we can band against the goblins
Yeah,
together.
that sounds more like persuade
Yeah, okay.
or
So if I've got
courtesy.
nothing in it, I can still spend a fellowship to get at least something in it.
Yeah,
then
you
I'm
can.
going to lose it.
Well,
because
fellowship
there's a
gives
negative.
you remember, a fellowship makes the roll favored. That's your patron ability from Balin. So you're rolling 2d12s and you're taking the better. If you want bonus dice, you have to spend hope to get a bonus die. And if it's specifically using a distinctive feature, you can say you're inspired and get 2. We also and this is not in the rules of the game, this is for our stream. We also have 5 audience purchased bonus die that you can tap into.
Okay, so I'm going to spend a hope and an audience and a fellowship.
Okay, so your fellowship should be down to 2, I believe. So you get advantage on your feat. Okay, so make sure when the pop-up comes up, pick the best of the feat, and then add in 2 bonus die, right?
Ooh.
That's a failure.
Oh my god, it's 18. That's crazy.
Okay. So you say that, and he's like,
A lot of people have got it bad. No one helped me when I needed help. So why should I help you? In fact, I don't think I want to help you. Just enough here to eat, and just enough of a fire and places to sleep for me, and Hooper, and Quint. Now, get on out of here. You ain't getting charity from me.
okay. Gilly, do you want to pop in on this? You guys have basically taken 2 chances at this. You've got 6 more chances, I think.
Well, yeah. Let's. So I want to do like a riddle roll, because that
Okay.
skill represents the ability to draw conclusions from seemingly unconnected scraps of info.
He's dropped a couple bits here and there. Yeah.
Yeah. And she just wants to like probe him because we did see like
Whoa, Ashley, come on,
not
it's
like that.
PG-13
Not like
strong.
aliens. It's not that old right-hander game we did where we were on the spaceship.
That's terrible. Okay, go ahead.
But like to see if maybe he saw them, like maybe the goblins like carrying her, and that's why we didn't see her footprints, or something like that, or maybe dragging her.
Okay.
So that
Well, I mean, like, why don't we just say you're trying to use riddle to piece together a conclusion based upon some of the things you're seeing, right?
okay.
Why don't we just say that?
Let's
Because
do that, and we'll make it
if
easier.
you make it too specific and then you pass, I might not be able to get information because it might not be relevant
Yeah,
based
yeah,
upon what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
asking for. So let's keep it a little broader so I have some room for what I can give you.
Would you say? No, I wouldn't say that either. Never mind. Could I use one of the audience dice?
Of course, we're down to 3 now.
Cool.
So thank you to Aaron, thank you to Captain Karayan, thank you to Chuck
Thank you very much.
for giving all of us those.
Nice.
I got a great success.
Yay!
And so that's 2 successes, which means you've reduced the resistance now down to 4. Okay. And there are 5 turns left to go around on this. All right. So a couple things you've pieced together here. References the dogs. You kind of take a look at them. The dog, they're mangy. They look a little, but they're well cared for. Like they're not, you don't see, like you can see that they're dirty and grimy like he is, but they don't look sickly. Their ribs aren't showing. Like he seems to care about the dogs. And that's when it dawns on you as a person who lives in Bree is like you recognize like this is a breed of dog that they use, the Bree wardens use as guard dogs. Like these are Bree warden guard dogs here and there. You think that maybe he lived there, maybe he raised them, maybe something like that. But you're fairly confident these dogs are Bree warden guard dogs.
So she'll kind of call him out on that and be like, your dogs seem like Bree warden guard dogs. You could really.
He just kind of snarls when you mention Bree wardens, but continue.
Were you from Bree, sir?
Maybe.
If you surely have guard dogs, then surely you should care about the people. There's a
Why
woman
should
missing.
I care about the people? These dogs never did me wrong. These dogs never turned me away when I was needed. When I needed help, they protected me. So what if I made mistakes? They forgave me and they stuck with me the whole time. Care about the people, the same people who turned their backs on me, closed their doors to me. One mistake doesn't define you.
No, you're right.
I don't
agree.
care about them at all.
I'm sorry someone hurt you, but I just any information and we'll get out of your hair.
Reniel and Floyd, how do you want to help on this? You're hearing all of this. Like,
Yeah.
all of you hear it. So there's 5 turns left, 4 left in the resistance if you want to keep up.
I was, and maybe this isn't quite matching the social piece of it, but I was wondering if I could use like hunting to see if I have something for the dogs, like a
There you go. Okay. Sure. I think that's
treat or
fair.
a bone or like a food or a bone or something.
Yeah. Okay. So you're
fine.
trying to befriend the dog. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that makes perfect sense. Sure.
Would I do hunting with that?
Well, you're not trying to hunt it, but because
Just
you're
seeing if,
trying,
like I had something in my bag or something to.
you
give
have
them
gear.
to
Do you
eat.
have gear? Do you have hunting gear? Like, do you have like scraps or something like that?
I just have a skinning knife. Oh, so I probably don't.
No, you have a skinning knife. So we could say that somewhere along the way, You know, we could retroactively say maybe you hunt, you know, somewhere when you were in the Chetwood, maybe you hunted rabbit or something, something like that, and you skinned it. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, roll hunting. Take your bonus from your skinning knife. I think that applies here. This is clever. This is good. This is good. Give it a roll.
And I'll do a hope.
Okay, so you should be down to oh, no, I'm sorry. That's your own personal supply. My bad. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, Gandalf.
Great success.
Great success.
That's 2 successes. That brings the resistance down to 2. Do you go over to Hooper or do you go over to Quint?
Hooper.
Bonus points if people know where these names are from. All right, so you move over to Hooper. Okay. Describe how it looks when you approach. Because
So I'm very carefully going to go into my bag. And so I'm basically just going to lay it kind of on the ground. Like I'm not kind of getting into their personal space, but I've definitely like presented that I have something tasty and kind of laid it on the ground and then kind of back up.
And you can see, like, as you approach, like, he gets very apprehensive. He actually reaches into, like, his inside of, like, what looks like a vest he's got. He's going for a weapon. And all of a sudden, like, you just lay and you lay the pack down. You lay a little piece of rabbit down. And Hooper kind of looks over at the guy sitting down. And the guy just kind of says, and Hooper... and just starts to back up a little bit. Meanwhile, Quint's on the other side looking over. Drool coming down a bit here and there. Okay. 2 successes. Or two resistance left. 4 turns to go. Floyd, what were you thinking?
Yeah, I want to hop in here. Try to get like on his level, like relate to him a bit more. Like, I'm not a man from Breed myself, but we're not doing it for them. We're not doing it because they told us to. We're doing it for our patron. And it seems like the wardens in there aren't out here looking for them, helping with the problem. We're doing it ourselves.
Let's go. Them Bray Wardens, a bunch of turncoat, hypocritical, awful people that turn out their brothers and ignore them when they're in need.
What do you want to roll?
Oh, maybe a little more into that. Maybe the song I heard him playing earlier, I can relate to that as well.
Okay.
Maybe if I heard somewhere.
Okay, it's also you don't actually, song doesn't have to actually be playing the song. It's also just kind of choosing the right words at the right time. So I think song's fine. You can roll it.
Okay.
We'll iron this kind of stuff out, kind of get more precise with it as we go. But that's good for now.
Otherwise, I say I kill good, and like that's all I can do.
Okay. Would you like a trolley? Huh?
Oh,
Yes,
goodness.
I can't do it.
You're not the face of the party. All
Yeah.
right. And so he says to you, he's like,
Patron, huh? Patron, it sounds like rich folk language. You come any closer, Quint's gonna rip that throat clear on out.
all right, 3 chances left, 2 left on the resistance.
Could I do another courtesy and just like try to relate on him as like say like maybe the Bree wardens have also turned their back on Alicia or where did I put her
Elise.
name? Elise.
Just Elise, yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, that sounds fine to me. Again, persuasion is another good one you guys can use here. Like a lot of times you guys keep going to courtesy and stuff, but don't forget that persuasion is an option as well.
I've got an 18 wits, and I tried it once and realized that was not the strategic way to go.
My heart is where my brains are, okay?
Okay. All right. Yeah, go ahead and get a roll. And you guys still have 3 more audience purchased ones left. Okay, got a success.
I got a
Perfect.
success.
Okay, 1 left on resistance. 2 chances at it. So you basically say like that they left her out to dry, just like they left him out to dry or something like that.
Yeah.
I try to be good. Yeah, I try to be one of them. Raise the dogs, I did. I try to make it people safe. But they didn't pay enough. And my mother got sick. I couldn't pay for the medicine, herbs and such. Made her feel better. And so, I guess you can say they've been letting people down for generations.
Okay. 2 more chances to get 1 more success.
So Jeff, I'm not sure exactly which sort of skill this would be, but like his theme kind of seems to be sort of like getting older, not being able to do what he used to be able to do, in addition to sort of that kind of society letting him down kind of a thing. So I want to try to connect with him and like tell him a story about like an older individual, that my family used to travel with, and just sort of that like understanding and empathy for kind of the sunset years of life and how difficult that is.
What are you angling towards?
Like I was thinking maybe in Hearten, like
Cheer
this
him
is
up?
something we all kind of go through, and it can be really difficult, but we can find new ways to define our how we contribute.
Okay, I'll take it. I think it's fine.
I still have nothing in Hearten, so I'm gonna
You have
pull
3 more audience purchase bonus dice left. And
I'll pull
I
one
know,
of
what's your
those.
fellowship at? What's your
2.
fellowship? So you have 2 more cracks at that as well too.
Okay.
You have the resistance is at 1. You have 2 more chances at cracking him.
So I'm gonna spend one of the fellowship, so everybody we're down to 1.
Mhm.
And I'm rolling nothing. So
Do you want to
I'm
use the
gonna
bonus, the audience
a
bonus
hope.
die?
I did that also, and then
You
I'll
gotta let me
spend
know
hope.
that so I can keep track.
Yeah, we're down to 2.
Gotcha.
And then I'll spend a hope. I'm at half hope at the moment.
Okay.
But my hope is still higher than my shadow, so I'm okay.
All right. Go for it.
So that'll give me. So I'm rolling in Hearten with the feat die, with the hope, and with the bonus.
There you go. I got that Gandalf. He says,
Automatic
Nice.
success.
so you start, telling him about like things can get better. Like, everyone goes through troubles, but what's important is how you handle the adversity. And he kind of looks at you, and he looks over at Hooper, who's like just eating away at this rabbit, and he just lets out a whistle, and Quint bolts across to the other side, and now starts like gnawing away at the rabbit.
Right. You all can go ahead and use the fire for the night. No funny business. But I'll tell you, I haven't seen Elise. Not in a while, anyway. I know who you're looking for. She's not a bad lady. Sometimes she brings me things. From town because they won't let me back in. I warded them. I guarded them for years. Years. And you make one mistake. You turn your head off to the side. You don't look one time on one little crime. Just one time because you needed a bit of extra coin. And all of a sudden everything's gone. 5 years. 5 years I'll give them. Can't tell you how many dogs I breeded for them. Raised for them. Got them ready. Just in case goblins or bandits or anything, this or that, come around. But they won't let me in.
And he kind of looks at you all, and he's like,
My name's Hollis. Hollis Oak Stout. And yeah, I'm from Bree. And I used to be one of them Bree wardens you're talking about. And if I were still on duty, None of this would have happened, I'll tell you that. Many thanks, but I don't love me no goblins. And I don't love me no orcs. And Elise is one of the few people that showed any sort of kindness to me lately. I can tell you this, there's a lot more orcs and goblins where they came from. Lots of them, in fact. And it ain't just orcs and goblins. Other things too. Seen some of them bandits out on the East Road. They were cavorting. Strange times, I think. They come prowling through the marshes. They go over into the woods. And they get off into the hills to the east. I can't help you find Elise. I can go looking for her, though. I know the woods just as well as I know the marshes. But I don't know where she's at.
The more people looking for her, the better. It seems like the folks that we talked to had other things to do than go looking for her or chase after the goblins. But I'm appreciative of a warm fire for the night.
Back with the animals was brutal. They were gutted and left to bleed to death.
Yeah.
And they were hit with arrows, left to be in spots. It was a sign. It was
Yeah.
a declaration of something.
Like 3, maybe 4 nights ago. So a big old force of orcs passed through the marshes. It was a big fat orc that was leading them. Big old cleaver and meat hook. They all had cleavers and meat hooks. And there was this tiny little goblin following him around. Just trailing him like he was a lost little puppy. Had this crooked branch. He's got this blue flag with like a slash on it. Like they were some sort of heralds. Like they were out of Gondor or something. Maybe they think they are mimicking men.
Oh,
Well,
so
I can
it had to been orcs then, because the bellies were slit with a butcher's knife.
I think
Round
we
one.
know that already, because I
Right.
didn't do it and you didn't do it.
No, but she's like obsessively taking notes in her little book, and she's like, and she turns to Irenial. She's like, okay, I'm.
No, I don't know. All I'm saying is, it ain't just a few strays. They're organised. There's a bunch of them. And I've been seeing all sorts of things coming through the marshes these late months now. Trolls popping up when there ain't been trolls before. Seeing wolves and pecks larger than I've ever seen, sniffing around the waters. Seen lots of things. Heading north, most of them. Some of them lingering. Nearly got me and Hooper and Quint a few times. But we're way too savvy for them. We know these marshes better than anybody. Gave them the old slip, we did. All I'm saying is, it's a bigger problem than you think. It's a bigger problem than them Bray Wardens think. While they're sleeping at their posts and they're turning their brothers out into the darkness, you've got all these shadow folk crawling around outside of the very town, taking over the roads, taking over the forest, taking the marshes, taking the hills, everything. And what are they going to do about it? Nothing. They send the 3 of you out here. Got a good woman, Elise, missing. They ain't lifting a finger. You got bandits up the road. They might know something. I saw them. I did. Not 2 days past, right on the eastern edge of the marsh. Group of them bandits, they hang out over by the Forsaken Inn. They were talking with that big fat orc. Talking. What kind of man talks to an orc? Except to say, time for me to cut your throat out. That's not what they were saying. They were making deals, they were. We didn't get too close, didn't hear what they were saying, but they left in peace. But hey, it's all this oak stout. He's the bad one. I'd never do something like this. Never.
While you're saying it sounds like we're gonna need armies. Bree's not gonna withstand this at all.
You just got complacent folk over there, thinking they're hiding their walls, while all these little folk on the roads, villages like Combe, Archet, not within those fancy Bree walls, the fences. There ain't no Bree woman's gonna lift a finger to help them. It's gonna be good folk like you, like a lace. I don't know if I'm good folk anymore. I don't know.
I'd say so.
My mum says nothing like that. Won't talk to me. Haven't talked to her in I don't know how long. Like God is thinking I'm some shadow fiend creature or something. One mistake. Don't make mistakes around those parts. Anyhow, I can look for a lease for you.
Maybe if we get some of these things taken care of, maybe we could help clear your name, if that's something you're interested in.
Yeah, bigger fish to fry.
For now, yeah.
I'll tell you, I saw that big fat orc go up toward the Weather Hills. I didn't follow too far. Once you get outside the marshes, it's a little harder to stay hidden. And them bandits they were talking to, well, I know 'em. Yeah, I looked the other way once, but I only did it once. But they're the ones who prey upon travellers, merchants alike, on the Great East Road. Hang out over by the Forsaken Inn. Maybe they know something. I don't know. I don't know quite how many there are. Maybe you need an army, dwarf. Maybe you just need a couple strong backs and big hearts. I don't know. It's for you to figure out.
We wouldn't mind you joining us while we look for a lease.
Maybe. We'll see how I feel in the morning.
That's fair.
And so with that, he like whistles. Both the dogs like stop chewing on the rabbit at that point, and like they both kind of disappear into the edges of the fire. Like you can't see them anymore. They're just kind of hiding in the shadows. And he's like, Hollis is kind of getting down, like huddling next to one of the interior parts of the lumber or of the fallen tree. He's like, "Don't worry, they'll keep an eye out. They'll shout if there's something. You can rest here." Not. And he rolls over, his back to you, his back to the fire, and just within seconds is asleep. And I think we're gonna end there for tonight.
Yay!
Sound
That
good?
was So cool.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Campfire to sleep by.
Okay. Cool,
Sounds
cool,
like
cool.
Grouchy old man, my favorite.
I didn't say he was old. He's actually only 22. He's lived a hard life.
21.
He's not that old. Maybe 30, something like that. Okay. Awesome. So we
Yay.
got through a combat. You guys crushed. We got through a council. Little dicey at times.
Yeah.
Little dicey.
Did some role play and stuff. The council actually worked out way better. Like I was a
Yeah,
little.
it's an interesting mechanic because like if someone's not good at someone else in the party can like pick up on it and just like
Yeah.
roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it. Actually. We didn't practice that. That's the first time we ever did it. And I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was kind of fun. Like I'm a big fan of the. I feel like that's the skill challenge stuff is really cool. There's like skill endeavors and stuff in the games if you're familiar with skill challenge, and that's kind of what it is, you know. So it's pretty cool. I liked it. I thought it worked out pretty well, and like
I know what I should put some skill
Melissa
points
bringing out
into
the
later.
dogs is a really cool idea.
I did have a strong role model, Keith. That's true. Yeah, I mean, I liked it because it didn't feel like it broke with like the RP. Like I still felt like we could RP and we'll even I think we'll get better at it. We'll get faster at it and stuff like that, and like it'll kind of flow. But like it went pretty quick. Combat was fun, and I think what we'll probably try to do is we'll try to do a journey next time too. We'll try to make sure because like you have a couple options. You can kind of journey up to the Weather Hills. You can journey out to the Forsaken Inn, so we can kind of figure that kind of stuff out. That's enough of a distance where we can start playing with the journey rolls next time. So but yeah, let's close things down. So in about an hour and a half, you can catch Ashley and I over on Defenders of Cobalt stream as we're playing another game. This is my third for the day. Very busy Saturday for me. As we're playing Darkest House, which is a haunted house game by Monty Cook Games. If you're familiar with Nick Newman era Cypher Systems, same company. Tomorrow night, I'll be over on Steam Still Murder. Bert's in the channel right now as we're playing through some Shadowrun using the one roll engine. And then as for us, Monday on our channel, you can catch us playing UVG, Ultraviolet Grasslands. Next Friday will be the finale of part 3 of our Impossible Landscapes campaign for Delta Green. Part 3 of 4. And then in January we'll pick up and we'll finish the sucker, which is crazy. Next Saturday we'll be back for more One Ring. Also more Delta Green on Thursdays over at Garblack Games. I run a game over there. We're getting close to the end of that one too, so I'm not sure. Hopefully we can finish it before the holidays really slam us, but we'll see how it goes. But everybody, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for the bits. Oh, Dustin, what's going on, man? Yeah, we're just getting out of here right now. Play some One Ring first session. Good times.
You can hang out with us in like an hour and a half, though.
Yeah, come check out if you're not running anything tonight. Come check out Defenders in like an hour and a half. We'll be playing some games over there as well. So, but that's it. I'm gonna drop us on like the end screen here. I'll raid somebody for us. We'll see who's got something going on. So if folks want to hang out, we'll find a home for you and keep
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
keep
for
the
all
audience going
and everything.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll take it easy. We hope to see you all next week. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for checking it out. If you saw any like major blunders or errors that we didn't correct, drop it in the chat. We'll figure it out. We'll fix it as we go. Hope you had fun. We did. We'll see you later. So hang tight. We'll find a raid for you. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.